On this episode of Taskforce Geek, join Walt, CaseyJane, Scott, and me as we talk with our guest, Supershow game magnate Steve Resk. We'll also talk about The Batman, the censorship of the video game Martha is Dead, and I think Scott is going to give some game reviews for us, and that's all coming up now. Welcome to Taskforce Geek. My name is Dirk Hooper, and today I have Walt. That's it. That's all I got. There he is.
How you doing, everyone?
I'm not joking. That's all I got. We're waiting on Steve. Apparently, he's coming here pretty quick. We keep getting messages from him. He says he's heading this way. And CaseyJane will be joining us about 30 minutes in, and Scott about an hour in. So that's where we are, folks. How you doing, Walt?
Doing pretty good. I'm tired. Like I literally just got home. Like just before we came on, I literally got home.
I know. That seems to be the way it is.
Yeah.
You have a 46-hour commute.
Yeah, even though that's more like miles, but yeah, it feels that way.
And I see your dog around there.
Yeah, she just stepped out.
Off.
Yeah.
Well, she's no help at all.
No.
No help.
She's got her own agenda tonight.
Of course she does. That's the way it has to be. All right. Well, then in that case, it's time for housekeeping.
Housekeeping. Housekeeping.
Come back later, please.
Housekeeping.
Not now.
And while I did that, guess who joined us? There he is, Steve.
There he is.
How are you guys doing?
Doing good. How you doing, man?
I'm experiencing the time warp apparently over here as I got my wires crossed with doing a podcast earlier on Central Time, so I apologize on that.
That's all right, man.
That's cool.
We got you. Are you broadcasting from your
Broadcasting
car?
live from the 2007 very luxurious Hyundai Entourage.
Sweet.
All right.
So
Your mobile studio.
it's all class and style. Speaking
Dirk,
of,
it is always amazing to hear your voice. I say you have the best voice in the business.
Wow.
I could have you read me a phone book to put me down at night. I absolutely love it. Love being here.
You know, I hear from a lot of people. What I just have to do it. I've heard from a lot of people that I should read stories or whatever. At, maybe at night, like around 10 o'clock or something, on Twitch or whatever, for exactly that purpose.
I'd be in.
You're in on that?
I'd be in. Yeah, I'd check it out.
And can I say, your hoodie is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I need to get one of those.
It is the right color. That is totally on point. I love it.
I don't know if it's apparent, but purple is definitely my favorite color. I always tell our design teams, if you make it purple and yellow, I'm going to be all for it.
That is awesome.
It didn't fly too well. My wife in the house, she shut me down on purple and yellow walls. But
all right. Well, let me cover a couple things, and we'll get to your interview. Thank you for joining us, Steve. We have CaseyJane coming up in hopefully about 15 minutes. And we have our first comment here. Oh, hey, it's Steve. How you doing, Steve? He says, "Evening, gents." Welcome, Steve. We appreciate that. All right, so housekeeping. I just want to say that here is the upcoming list of people that we have. As you see, we have Steve Resk tonight. Next week, we have Greg A. Alexander, who does Obsolete Comic. And the week after that, we have Broadcast Pictures. They're doing a... it's like a Bigfoot comedy movie, I think, if I'm correct on that. And
I'm there.
Then we have the Cthulhu Invades Wonderland crew. And that night will be bonkers. I don't even know. We may have 8 people on here or something, all at the same time talking about comics. So that ought to be pretty cool. All right. That's it for us. Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in being you can see, let me put that back up here. You can see that we have some open dates starting in April 12th, 19th, and 26th. You can get in touch with me at taskforcegeek@gmail.com. Contact me there and get signed up for those dates. All right. Now we're going to go to our feature presentation. Here it comes. Hey, Steve, before we get started, we're going to I'm going to say, I know that you usually need to get out of here because you have like 3 or 4 more podcasts to do tonight. So we're going to do our interview with you. And then afterward, you're welcome to stick around if you want to, or if you need to go, that's cool. Whatever you want to do.
I'm good. I did a couple podcasts before the show. I'll stick around for as long as I can. Like I said, you guys here at Taskforce Geek are always a blast and always fun to hang out with. So I'll give you as much time as I absolutely can.
Thanks, man. We always appreciate it. All right, so let me take a step back a little bit, and before we get into the news stuff, let's talk a little bit about how Supershow started and what Supershow is.
So Supershow, what it is probably easier to start with. It's the #1 rated wrestling game of all time, according to Board Game Geek. So we're really proud of that rating. I think we're hovering around an 8.2 or an 8.3. You can live all your wildest wrestling fantasies without ever taking a chair shot. And we don't say that lightly. Our game really does capture every aspect of what it's like to be a part of a wrestling promotion, from the unpredictability of matches to being able to have titles and managers and feuds and factions. While it is a tabletop dice and card game, it's kind of taken on a life of its own with this fantasy like role-playing aspect, which has been really fun. How it started, many moons ago, I played a game called Raw Deal. It was a wrestling themed game. I was very good at it. And from there, I played mostly trading card games, not really board games. I got into that later into my life. And as a player of Raw Deal, I was very good. My brother actually met me in the finals of a world championship qualifier in New York.
Wow.
We were said to be the first brother combo to make the finals. He let me win in a hilarious match. He started doing some illegal things to put me over, and I appreciate it to this day. I still think I would have beat him, but he did let me win, and I'm very grateful for that.
That's awesome. He gave you the rub.
He did. He absolutely did. And what was really funny about that time, there was like I guess for a lack of a better term, like a stenographer who was recording each play. So there would be this really serious, like card by card breakdown of all these finals matches. And then my brother just started doing things that was like actual nonsense in the game. And the report basically just said, in a match that no one in attendance will forget, Steve Resk won, because they couldn't even record what he was doing. Because he was doing it with like a straight face, but like everything was illegal. And then like halfway through the shenanigans, we just shook hands and hugged. So that was really cool.
That was awesome. What a great
It was
story.
a really great story. And, Raw Deal
Hey, Michelle.
brought me a lot of very fond memories. I traveled around. I played it with my family. I played it with my friends. We went to different stores. We went to different states. And I was very good at the game. I had a high ranking for a while. I think I was #1 ranked in New York for a little bit, and I was a very young kid, so this was really awesome. Fast forward to when Raw Deal went out of print. We had taken this game that was being sold in Target for $1 called Tops Attack. And we bought it because it was $1, and why not? And it was terrible. It had nothing to do with football, but it had football pictures on it. So I took the game and I added my own rules to it. And I basically used everything on the card that was already there. I made it that you had a salary cap based on the number of stars on the bottom. Instead of playing 1 round, you played 4 quarters, and you had to draft a team. And it was like super popular. It was really easy to play. It was $1 a pack. And there were 3 local stores that sold out of this because of the rules that we had put on. And somebody had approached me and said, hey, why don't we design our own game? You're good at games. You're good at designing. Let's work together. These are some old friends. And collectively, we worked on a UFC game. And I'm not a big fan of UFC. I never was. I don't think I ever will be. It's just not my thing. I prefer the fake fighting over the real, seeing people beat people up, So we designed this game, and I was able to get a meeting at Tops because I just kept calling them.
Wow.
And one of the things I mentioned was that, like, we sold 3 stores out of Tops Attack, and they're like, that game flopped. How the hell did you do that? And I was like, well, we made up our own rules. So because we did well with Tops Attack, they actually took a meeting for us, and we gave this pitch on a UFC game. I had developed the rules to the game. The other guys I work with filled in all the cards, more or less. Mm-hmm. And they seemed to really like us and like the game, but they didn't like the concept of a UFC game. So they had asked if we'd be interested in doing a wrestling game. And to me, that was like the best news I could ever get. But the guys I worked with didn't want to do that. They wanted to stick with UFC. So I said, if they're going to look at something with wrestling, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And as a matter of fact, I actually started Supershow with similar rules, but it was a board game where you went around the board. And it was still leads, follow-ups, and finishes, and you hit the finish roll, and there was skill charts and everything. And I pitched that to Topps, and they loved it, but they said that they wanted a traditional card game where you had packs and so on and so forth. So for me, I was in a weird position because I felt so connected to Raw Deal because it was such a huge part of my childhood. I didn't even think of making a wrestling game because I would never wanted to replace Raw Deal. But I actually got to a point where I felt, Raw Deal's been out of print for a while now. It's not coming back most likely. Why don't we just take what we loved about Raw Deal and all the things we didn't like and develop what we think would be a really good wrestling game? And I remember having the concept for Supershow, getting back, pitching it to Topps. They loved my pitch. They actually brought in the VP of the company for me to pitch it a second time, which was like amazing. And they kept telling me for, just to fast forward, they loved the game. They loved the idea. They would give me a contract that I would be very happy with. That's basically what the email chains always said. And this went on for a really long time. And one thing that's important to note is I had always pushed to Topps in the meetings that since they had the IP at the time for Marvel and for Star Wars and for WWE and even UFC, that they should have different versions of the game where it's all compatible. Like, how cool would it be to be John Cena versus Darth Vader? And they were like, no, we can't do stuff like that, And I'm like, well, you don't have to like advertise that you're going to do that. You could just make like these individual products and like people could do it at home, And like they didn't really appreciate my humor in that because I guess it was like crossing some gray area. So anyway, was supposed to get a contract, didn't. And I made a decision that I had shown the game off at Gen Con without any branding on it, and people liked it. I had made a decision that the next year at Gen Con, if I didn't have a deal, I would go out on my own. And I took whatever money I had, I believe it was about $500. I invested it into Supershow. I was working as a waiter, so I was able to add a little bit more weekly to that. But a $500 investment. I had commissioned the artwork with an artist named Nuno, who is still one of our best artists. I created El Super Hombre, Snake Pit, The Big Shot, and The Rising Sun with some guys that we were working with, in the basement. And originally it was supposed to be an exclusive trading card game, exclusively open packs and get it. And it had this massive card pool for set one. So I didn't have the resources to produce all those cards. So I came up with the idea of saying, I consider myself a good player. Why not just design what I think would be the best starter deck, like what I would play, and make that the game, right? Skip all the chasing part. Give everybody what they need right in the box. And then as I started thinking about it, I said, that's a really good idea because now you could tell people straight up that you don't have to chase stuff, and there's the appeal of it. When Supershow started, it was $20, got you everything you need. You just plugged and played your characters. Yeah. And it was great. And we've done a really good job of keeping our box sets amazing. So if you want to play the game competitively, you don't have to spend a fortune. Don't get me wrong. There are 400 characters in the game. You want a second mortgage collecting it, you absolutely can have one. But you don't need all that stuff to make it super good. So I went on my own, made up my own 4 characters, showed off this game in Chinese food containers because we didn't have boxes. I did local printing cards, so they were on this stiff card stock. They had no borders, had these handmade sticker dice that I actually, just a player in the store, I was just that had one. And it was like a huge blast from the past because I haven't seen one in a real long time. And, we were selling them in Chinese food containers at Gen Con, and like everybody who tried it bought it. And people said, you got to go to Kickstarter. I didn't even know what Kickstarter was at the time. Wow. And then 8 years ago, did a Kickstarter for $8,000, which to me was the most amount of money I probably would have ever seen.
Yeah. Wait a minute. That was your first Kickstarter?
8,000.
You did $8,000.
And we just got to the 8,000
8 years ago.
Very end with
That's amazing.
That's like $1 million now,
Yes, it is.
So we did get there and we got funded. We did some production overseas, and we had a beautiful product. But I had then, I wanted to be true to my own beliefs, and I wanted to produce locally. So we spent a little bit more money. We had different kind of boxes to produce locally, and we were able to do it. And the game sort of picked up a lot of traction I'd say about year 2 or 3. And I believe that's because the game started to get to a point where we always wanted it to be if we had the funding, meaning lots of characters, lots of stipulations, different cards to choose from. So the vision really came to life at about like the 2 to 3 year point. And from there, it just kind of kept snowballing into bigger things. It was a slow process, don't get me wrong. But now, as I said, 400 characters. We have licensed product with other companies. We have licensed products with WWE, not WWE, wrestling companies, sorry, like New Japan Pro Wrestling. We have worked with some WWE guys, which is amazing. We published 2 comic books last year during COVID, which was basically like our COVID passion project, is kind of expanding Supershow into the lore realm of comic books and the fantasy aspect. And it's been a real wild ride. It's hard to sum up 8 years of a roller coaster in such a short time, but it's just I'm really blessed and fortunate.
It's fun to see all the things you have going on. It's always amazes me. Let me stop you for just a minute so I can get CaseyJane in here. Hey, CaseyJane.
Hello.
Hey,
Casey,
how are we doing?
Doing good here.
And CaseyJane is joining us. She's actually part of the Rainbow Girl Terra Skull box set.
Oh, there we go. Hang on. Let me put her up on this so you can see the deal.
All right, I couldn't find the
exact
box.
numbers. El Super Hombre vs. Snake Pit has always been, that's the original game. That's like through the roof. Sage vs. Chamomile Tea, the female box set, that has been doing fantastic. But right now at conventions, the Rainbow Girl Terra Skull box set is probably the #1 box set right now. So
That's a card with the word daddy on it. That's why.
Yeah.
I really wanted to get CaseyJane on here because she's such a big part of this and is a fan and plays it and understands it. Hoping to get Scott on during this thing too, because also he plays it and knows it, but he won't be on till later. We still may talk to him a little bit about this. First thing I want to say though, Steve, I can't believe that you're in your car talking to us and it's clearer. Your voice is clearer,
very,
and your broadcast is clearer than than most people who are in a studio and are at home and have their, like their desktop setup and stuff.
It's my baby girl Francine. She's built for the acoustics. That's what she was meant for.
Are you on
an interesting fact? During COVID, I had worked with a network called the Y Network, and they've been bought out by a different company. And we were lucky. We did a show called Y Wrestling, and they were basically a platform for people to do different shows. And interestingly enough, the producers there, these were some big time producers. This is Marvin Siegel, whose father who actually founded and owned the Home Shopping Network. It was the producers for the Howard Stern show, and they basically said, believe it or not, majority of their stream shows were shot on an iPhone now, because these iPhones now, the quality is just absolutely fantastic. Incredible. It's better than some cameras, digital cameras.
I mean, I would say it's better than mine.
There is a movie out there, short film. Somebody won an award, and it was all shot on an iPhone recently.
Yeah, I believe it. So
as long as you stabilize it, it's 4K. It's a 4K broadcast. CaseyJane,
hello.
Before we get into the meat of what Steve is here for, can you talk a little bit about kind of what your involvement is with Supershow and what it's like to play, and maybe even more importantly, I want you to talk about the community that has been built around it, because I think it's very important.
Oh God, the community's great. My involvement, not much anymore due to schooling and then work full time.
Sure.
Just like I don't have the time really. I am the former Tri-State General Manager.
The most prestigious area in the Super Show, may I add to everybody out there, okay? That was some tough work.
May I?
Of course. Whatever.
Ladies and gentlemen, Little Miss Fury here. Welcome to the Tri-State Title Championship match. I am your general manager, Little Miss Fury, and here we are again with another Tri-State Championship. Thank you. That's all. I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah,
I haven't done that in a while. I still got it.
you got the chops.
That's you still got it.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm
So
amazed.
Casey, I don't want to speak for you, but maybe I'm accurate on this. Casey's like a lot of our players who didn't play a lot of trading card games.
I've never played a trading card game.
Yeah, and there are a lot of our players like, I've never played a trading card game. This game's super easy. It's super fun. If you like wrestling, it's real easy to want to dive in as somebody who doesn't. And that's kind of like with our Kickstarter now, the Time Warp. We've added some like non-wrestling themed characters as well because people just really love the game. And we wanted to have a little bit more mass appeal without losing like our wrestling roots as well.
It's for people who haven't played Supershow. It is very easy to pick up. I mean, you can literally have that deck and be playing it in minutes, especially if there's someone there that knows how to play it. But I can't imagine it's very difficult to pick up on your own.
I know it's on my bucket list for this year. I mean, my whole plan was to get it last year, but unemployment. So
well, I got you. I'll send you a bunch of stuff.
Steve says that he needs CaseyJane to call his funeral proceedings.
I got you.
And I still have it. I still have the site bookmarked to make my own character too. So I will probably put in to make my own character.
That's another aspect which I think has made it explode, made super fans for you, is that you can be a character in the game.
And that's why I'd mentioned earlier with the dealings with Topps early on, all of that would have been off the table if I had been able to work with them from the jump. So who knows how it would have went. Maybe I'd be super rich, not driving the Hyundai Entourage, right? The studios. But I definitely wouldn't have had the excitement and the crazy stories and having people get involved in the community around it had I gone that route. And that was one of the things that I was trying to explain to Topps, who has WWE, and that people love that stuff. I grew up on Smash Brothers and Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, where all these things we're not beyond the realm of possibility, because when you're stepping into that fantasy aspect of a game, people kind of accept that. And I think that that's really been awesome for us. And, if you would have went back to me maybe 5 years ago, I would say, absolutely not. We're doing wrestlers and wrestlers only. We've seen a dragon debut, a bear, three people to fight against once. We've had a baby come on, and these things are fun. And now we're actually doing like some humanoid stuff coming up, which has been really amazing. People from different galaxies and dimensions and stuff.
It's like what do you call it? When you modify your video games, when you've got Homer Simpson going through
mods.
Yeah, the mods. You got Homer Simpson going through was it Grand Theft Auto and all that stuff. So it just makes it that much more fun. I love that aspect of it.
For sure.
I just love the customization of it.
Yeah.
Especially when you get to make your own character and you have like your own finishes and the artwork on said finishes. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Like I grabbed mine here.
Yeah.
Like it's all come on, focus. There we go.
Goes.
Like, it's all custom. Like you even have like my tattoos.
I'm sure you've added quite a few since the last one. But I think it was, anatomically correct at the time. And that's what's really fun too. And Miss Fury can tell you, we already know she's a celebrity. She's a huge star. That's why we had to bring her in the game. But like when you have your own character, no matter who you are, it's exciting because people are excited to meet you and they want to take a photo with you or get your copy signed. So you really are able to, create a persona that people react to. And I see people have binders where they want to get, anybody who's created a copy, they want an autographed copy and they collect it. And it becomes really special. And it puts you literally as a part of a game almost more so than any other game does.
Hey Maxine.
Hey, Mom.
Hi.
I think that, I've seen some of the groups that you have. And by the way, might as well mention what those are in a moment. But I've seen people that will get on and cut promos for their characters with all of the energy that would be someone who's doing a promo for the WWE or the
props
AEW
included.
or whatever. I mean, just the whole the whole thing. And I mean, just with such passion and joy. And I think that
Hold that thought.
I think
we'll keep going. I'm just saying, hold it.
I think that that's the thing that really drives the success that you have, Steve, is your fans are insane for this game, and you really, you know, you do a lot to allow them to get involved. Is that a
Bro.
a bamboo sword?
It's a
It is a
kendo
kendo
stick.
Kendo stick.
I have a kendo stick for this. I got custom
Are
wrestling
you gonna have
gear.
a kendo stick match
You
right
can.
now?
I
Yeah.
am in a tag team that has kendo that affects it. I have like wrestling gear just because of this game.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
but the kendo stick. Got this for the game.
This is what I wanted to see.
And you know what? The cool part about it is we try to do like the award shows at the end of the year. We have some amazing production value from people that fan made promos where people they absolutely kill it with their characters. And then we have a lot of people too that are camera shy and are actually stepping in front of the camera for the first time. And that's a big step. You know, sometimes you get
Yeah.
mixed reviews where the game has grown so big at this point where like you want everybody to be supportive. Sometimes you have people not being supportive, but it takes a lot of nerve and a lot of guts to get in front of the camera and speak. I was camera shy
Yeah.
for a really long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it does.
But like people come up in the camera and they're trying to have catchphrases and be fun and have promos and build storylines. And to me, I love that aspect of it because a lot of people, you can tell it's really outside of their comfort zone. For them to be able to step in front of the camera for the community is really good on them, and it's something that we do our best to support. And when you see people who start off with these kind of funny promos and a year later they're in costume and they're editing their films, it looks awesome.
Yeah. You know, there's a certain segment of the wrestling community that does backyard wrestling, and I have to admit that we did a little bit of that. It was mostly about cutting the promos. It was mostly about dressing up in the outfits and doing, you know, the long dissertation stuff. I can even remember some of the things that, you know, I said. I remember the speeches and stuff because, you know, you have to memorize it. And apparently some of it went into long-term memory for some damn reason.
Or memory right there.
you know, like I said a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about, you know, WrestleMania and everything, I said the only reason back in the day I would ever watch wrestling was to see the promos. Yeah, I always thought that the wrestling matches were
That's
just
half the fun.
Yeah, I always thought the wrestling matches were just, you know, extra bonus. You know,
How can you not be entertained by the Ultimate Warrior?
Are you not entertained?
I mean, that
man.
guy is insane.
Yeah.
But even as a kid, I know CaseyJane, like me, big Undertaker fan, and like
Sure.
seeing this guy who you actually, even as an adult, when the lights went dark and that gong hit and they pumped up the AC and that eerie music hit, you know, you feel the hair standing up on your arms. Like when wrestling is good, it is great. It's one of the best performance arts.
It's a blast.
I mean, when it's bad, it's cringeworthy, you know, and you're like, it's not like this every week when you have like your friend over, you know, like this,
Right.
this is an off night. But
Right.
it's just those characters and those personas are so fun, and Supershow like enables you to do that because not only like you don't have to be a chess master to win at this game. You know, our top players, they always will have the edge, but almost anybody could come in and still have a chance, and that's what makes it you able to have a character and talk trash and cut promos and really get into it. I mean, I enjoy it. Maybe some people think I'm super nice in real life. I try. Maybe some people think I'm an a-hole. I mean, it's hard, but sometimes like on screen this year, I've been playing just a straight up bad guy, being a heel character. And it's super fun. It's super fun to go up there and just bury people and you know, do the unexpected and look like you're saying something nice and it'd be terrible at the end, you know. And it's really fun to get in those characters. It's almost like being an actor, but in real time.
Absolutely.
Listen, we were the most hated faction. Even though we were good guys, we were still the most hated.
I know we did everything for everybody.
We were there for the people, but we were the bad guys. Okay.
It's so funny how sometimes you almost inevitably have to like embrace into it, you know. People
No, we don't embrace the hate.
No, I wouldn't use that
no.
phrase, God forbid. No, I made sure I avoided that. But you gotta you kind of go with it, and it's been really fun. Sometimes like I make sure I do a good job of, and I try to explain to people that it is not a work, which is the wrestling term, if both parties are not involved. Then it's just a prank. You know what I'm saying? So like I've pushed the envelope from time to time, but I make sure I drop a DM and say, like, I'm just letting you know tonight I'm gonna come with the fire today.
That's good.
You know?
Yeah.
A lot of people also in the community do that. I know, especially if I were to say like anything mean before I would do it, I DM them and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna say this. Are you cool with this?"
Yeah,
There you go.
just
Like,
a little
it's just a
general
respect
heads up,
thing.
you know.
Yeah.
Makes for good
Because it's so
entertainment and
hard,
no one
and
gets
that's
hurt.
one of the hardest parts of my job is that we have people of different understandings of wrestling and life in general, and some
Right,
people
right.
can't. Some people
Different
can't
ages.
separate. You know, they call it working themselves into a shoot, the real and the fake, and the fantasy aspect of it. And sometimes people get caught up, which is good because you want them to be invested in the game and the product, but you also don't want things to get out of hand.
Right.
Let me get this comment from Steve after CaseyJane showed her kendo stick. He said, "Well, that settles it. I needed CaseyJane to cause my funeral procedure." No better way to go,
It's
Steve.
funny, a lot of men say that.
All right. Well, we've been dancing around it. Let's talk about the Kickstarter that you have running right now, Steve. It's called Time Warp. Tell us all about it.
So COVID was horrible, obviously, but it put people in a lot of downtime. So one of the things that we had did during COVID, we took an idea that we wanted to do for a very long time, and we fleshed out a comic book series. And our characters now have a backstory and lore. So that was amazing to work on. While we worked on that, we actually messed with different art styles. One of the things that we released during COVID as well was called Ikazo, which is basically Supershow the game, but an anime arena style fighting game. So you have the same mechanics as Supershow, except people are able to use guns and swords and supernatural abilities, and it's got the same skill sets, and everything can be played interchangeably. So that was actually really well received. We also did 8-bit style art, which I'm a big fan of that retro look. We did 8-bit versions of the game. And then we had some guest artists that were doing digital like chibi versions of us for Twitch, and they made like chibi versions. So while all these things were happening, I always kind of try to make art emulate real life. And I was watching way too much Loki on Disney Plus that came up with this idea of the time warp. And we basically took one of our funny characters in the game, Dr. Dick Thunderlips, who's like a bumbling character, and he starts messing with time travel, and he presents to Rock Newman, this is in the future. Now that you've basically conquered what you needed on Earth, why not go for the heavens and the stars? And they have this intergalactic title. And because of the intergalactic title, they start getting visitors from other dimensions and other timelines competing for this belt. And what we did in story was, now you have characters from the Ikazo universe crossing with our universe. Now the 8-bit art is actually art from an 8-bit style universe where if you would convert, you become like an 8-bit figure. And the same thing, there's a chibi universe. And then we actually crossed over with some other games where we're taking characters from their game and you could play them in our game. And we use the time warp almost as an excuse, for a lack of a better term, to kind of combine all these things into one thing under the guise of its time travel that's making it possible. And it's been a lot of fun because we did it thematically where our stretch goals will hit like a character from the future or a character from the past. This one's coming with a warning. And it was all mapped out very nicely. And then you'll even be able to pull on later stretch goals characters from the past, which from our comic book that define characters in our present that we're familiar with, like El Super Hombre. So it was kind of a goofy idea, which has been a lot of fun to work on and to create with the intergalactic title, and a good way to kind of bring in a justifiable way. I'll put that in air quotes because time travel is always the comic book trick, as they say, bring like supernatural characters fighting regular characters and so on and so forth. And people loved the Ikazo, people loved the wrestling and the fantasy aspect of it. And it was just a way for us to kind of just say, we're going to give it to you all in one shot on this Kickstarter. And it's been going pretty well, so I can't complain at where it's at.
You know what, Steve? It seems like you kind of foretold this back when you were working on that original project, because you suggested they should have a big crossover between all of the different properties. And it looks like that's exactly what you're doing with this.
And that's why I think that it was worth mentioning in the beginning, because we had these ideas from day one. And I'm really happy with how things have panned out with Supershow. Because if you talk to my partners and those closest to me, I've always been a huge dream big guy. I said when we first started, I want to do a game, and then I want to do a comic book, and then the comic book will lead to animation, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to do different branding, and I want to have our own conventions, and you know, little by little, we've been just, you know, chopping away, for lack of a better term, as my boss Roddy chops are my thing in the ring, and they've been happening little by little, and I just try to be patient with it, and I know that it's almost like seeing is believing. You know, you can tell people all you want, but once you're able to put it tangibly in their hand, people will be like, wow, this is really awesome. This is really special. And I kind of been thinking about that for many, many years, and to see it unfolding is really amazing for, you know, for me, especially that, you know, now I'm on the verge of 3 kids. So to be able to have something so special and maybe my kids see that unfold
Congratulations,
would be really
Steve.
cool. Thank you.
So how is your campaign going right now?
We're doing well. We are, we hit our goal in 15 minutes, which made me super sad.
Good Lord.
I wanted to be the 2-minute man for the 3rd year in a row, but apparently Kickstarter crashed or something. So we hit 15, which is still absolutely amazing. I believe we're about like 125% funded, maybe less, maybe more. I try not to look at things like I don't want to be obsessed and looking every second, you know.
I'm going to give you a live update.
We're like 900 away from a new stretch goal, which would get everybody a brand new competitor. So yesterday I was messing with John Polverino. I'm the best man at his wedding. So we had about 40 people between an online event and the store, and I was telling them all to message him to increase his bid for $1,000, so he would unlock the stretch goal. And if he did, I would stuff his wedding envelope with a little bit more money. So he was super mad that he was getting pressured from all these people, but I thought it was a funny, you know, trick for him.
All right. Well, right now your goal was $25,000. You are right now at $39,248.
Wow.
Which again is super proud of to have, you know, working on that stuff. I know a lot of people in today's world, they'll say, you know, some games do 100,000, some do 1 million, some do and I don't look at that. I'm just happy that the project is funded and we live to fight another year on those things, and gradually it'll go. And I'm lucky that, you know, our website, people support our website. We have distribution, and you know, we have like other things to supplement us. So to me, it's a huge win. You know, some people might say, "Oh, your game is underperforming," and I don't listen to stuff like that. You know,
the thing is,
248 backers. If you hit 100 backers, that's huge.
I agree. I mean, I had somebody
2.5 times that.
I had somebody had reached out because I said we have our pre-launch goal of like this people, and they said to me, you know, you probably should market for 6 more months before you go live because, you know, your trajectory is not right. And I would just like,
who are these?
Wrote up the rant where we're like, yeah, my last one funded in 2 minutes. And then I like deleted that and like put the nice answer, you know, because I feel like people are always not supportive of anything and they always know better. And I'm just like, I've learned to tune out that noise and basically just say whatever I get, I'm happy with. And, you know, that's a lot of money. It's more money than I've ever had. You know, obviously goes to the company and things like that and future projects. I'm big on, as you see, putting the money into future projects. And I'm super happy with it. You know, I don't even know what I would do with $100,000 if it was in my hand right now. So I take it one step at a time, and I'm thankful that this is what I do for work.
As my uncle would say, he goes, "Are people playing your games?
Yeah.
Are people still playing your game? Are they still buying your game? That's all that matters. All that matters."
And you have you don't have people who play the game. You have super fans.
Super fans.
I mean, people who are highly motivated to get whatever it is that you're putting out. And I mean, you can see the proof is right there, and how many people have backed this, and how far you've gone over your goal. So, you know, congratulations, Steve.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
How many people do you know, or if there's any, that just buy the game for just to see the artwork on the cards? I mean, there's got to be people who.
We definitely have people who collect.
Just collect,
and maybe they play casually or they just collect all the stuff. Sometimes they buy a couple of them. What's great about Supershow is a lot of stuff is held value. Some of the stuff has gotten great value. Some of it has kind of fluctuated. We try to keep the secondhand market in mind. I know a lot of other companies don't do that. and I'll be transparent with everyone. Maybe there will come a time where I can't no longer do that. But as of right now, we try to protect people's collections, pull things out of print, keep true rarity, and so on and so forth. And those collectors, we greatly appreciate you guys. And I try to explain that to some of our players, because we have some people who have that like competitive TCG, mentality. And I'm like, listen, I don't make all my cards infinitely better. I make them all even to the best of my ability. And we can get away with that with our game because of the card numbers. And the people that really support us are the ones that buy new products because it's new and it looks cool, not because it's the best card in the game and I have to have it to win. Right. And I really try to focus on that a little bit more than, the ways things that Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh do, where it's like a clear, we're going to put the best cards randomly in a box, and you have to have 4 of them to compete. We don't do that. And like when we do make things rare, like I think we've released like 3 or 4 cards that are exclusive to a mystery box, and people chase after them, and that's wonderful. That helps our company immensely. Sure. But we also make sure that that's not the best card ever. That is just good. So like if you have it or not, as a collector, it's super exciting. But you're not going to grab this card and now be the best player because you have the 1 of 50 card.
So it'd be like an exclusive character. So
exactly. And you got to get it randomly, right? You can't go to the website and buy it. And some people love that thrill of the chase. And listen, if you're a hobbyist and you're responsible with it, you are entitled to do whatever makes you happy. You buy these things, you want to keep it, you want to sell it, you want to trade it. People like having that excitement of opening things up. I mean, I love it. There's just something about cracking something open and getting something cool in it that is a feeling that's hard to replicate.
Very true. So
awesome.
The Kickstarter's running for another 18 days. You've already met your goal. What kind of stretch goals do you have coming up?
Our next stretch goal is unlocking a character from the future. So those are 2 characters. It's Colin the Chrononaut and the Frequent Flyer. And their card we spoiled. It's kind of got that like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure type look on it. And, we do like a lot of pop culture references. So that's been super fun.
Yeah.
We are able to unlock a gentleman by the name Ant West, who is, we called him the 8-bit champion. Even before we started doing the 8-bit art, he was a big 8-bit fan and would make some fantasy stuff. He does an amazing service for us where he recaps our talk show. And sometimes I read his recap if I'm not there on Wednesday, and that's a huge help for people who can't sit through an hour and a half of like important news and announcement.
Right.
So that was a great thank you from us to him for being able to do that every week. We've also have some other characters that are some cool, wrestling personas, fantasy personas that you can unlock as well. Yeah. Some promo cards that feature one of my favorite artists, Elvis the Grandpa. You could see some of his art on the Kickstarter. It's absolutely amazing that you can unlock as well. So if you notice with our goal, we hit our goal pretty easily.
Yeah.
All things considered, right? It wasn't easy. But I like to get the goal in early and give people more stuff. I could have set the goal at 40 and let us sweat it out. But then people wouldn't be excited to get all the add-ons that they got. We've hit a ton of pre-launch stretch goals, so you have a couple of characters and promos right before you start. We hit some actual stretch goals, so you got some more characters and promo cards free with your backing. And we have community goals, which are pretty easy to hit if people leave comments and share and stuff. So all in all, people get a really nice Kickstarter stretch goal bundle. And we'd like that because some of our collectors are actually back a second time. And they do that to get an extra box set, but they get all these add-ons at like a $30 tier level. So they get like hundreds of dollars in product that they could trade and sell later on. Yeah. So that's been a really exciting, that's where, again, we look to protect the consumers more so than say, you know what, let's get to 40 and then you get free stuff,
Right.
So we kind of structured it where we wanted people to get more value out of it.
Steve, you mentioned a comic book, which is, that's kind of our bread and butter around here. Tell us a little bit about kind of how that came about and what it's about, and if you have some more comics coming.
So the original characters, El Super Hombre, Snake Pit, Big Shot, and the Rising Sun, they were part of the Legendary Fighting Federation, and there wasn't much backstory to them. But I don't like that. I like basically fleshing out these characters and giving them a backstory. So season 1, focuses heavily on Rock Newman, who's the founder of the Legendary Fighting Federation, and El Super Hombre. So we released issues 1 and 2 called The Lead and the Follow-Up. And you're introduced to Rock Newman, who starts this underground wrestling federation. And in the first issue, you see a character who goes through the tryout and what it's like, signing up for the Legendary Fighting Federation. And then that's basically the auditions of the first 2 issues. And this sets us up really nicely because it's going to tell this whole story of the Legendary Fighting Federation. And the first perspective that we write it from is going to be Rock Newman focusing on the character El Super Hombre. And we've done a really great job, and I'm very proud of it. We've mapped everything out, both literally and figuratively, with timelines that we enabled like other stories to intertwine in real time, and the characters are actually planted in the background early, and you could spot them going on. So without giving away too much of the spoilers, there was a wrestler by the name of El Hombre del Dios, who was one of the most famous wrestlers. He was the son of this person called El Jefe Hombre, who had a legend about him that he had fought over 100 people off before he was killed. And then his son basically had this legacy of him. And they had built this original Legendary Fighting Federation, and he was basically invincible until he wasn't. And he left a nephew behind, and that nephew is now showing up in the LFF in current events. And now he's trying to take on the legacy of the Hombres before him. So you get a sense of this character is really going to build himself up from the ground up, but he has this legacy, and how much is Rock Newman involved in this legacy. And it's been really, really exciting to write. And as we unfold the story of these characters and these gifts that they have, some are supernatural. It's been really, really amazing storytelling. And I was excited to do 1 and 2 and have it really well received. And then what we're working on now is part 2, which is in 3 books, which will be issued 3, 4, and 5. And that'll be some more characters that you're familiar with. But 3, 4, and 5 take place in real time, and also Rock Newman flashing back to some of the stories of El Hombre del Dios and El Jefe Hombre. And it's been really, really fun stuff to write. And there's so many characters that are intertwined. And I spend so many nights working with our creative team where I like look at it as Marvel and The Simpsons as our inspiration. There's a world with a map and everything is connected. And it's a very ambitious project. Our overall storyline is very, very good. But I think if people are patient as we unfold the first 12 issues, it's going to be really, really awesome. And we have season 1, 2, and 3 all mapped out. And we've fleshed out our story on timelines. We have about 10 issues written, and we're making sure everything is very nice. So people have enjoyed 1 and 2 a lot. I think they're going to be really impressed with 3 through 5. And once those are released, I think people will really see the direction of the story, and it's going to be very exciting.
That's awesome, Steve. And that's another thing that you hit your goal immediately, at least the ones that I saw. I mean, you hit your goal so quick.
We were fortunate that you said super fans. People love the game, so we tied in some game aspects with the comics. So people who wanted the game aspects also jumped in the comics and vice versa. And again, to paint the story of El Super Hombre and his legacy has been so much fun because he's always been like the character in my head. But to flesh out the backstory of, who are his parents? What did they do for a living? What cost them to have a downfall? It's been really, really awesome. And to even paint the fantasy story of this legend that they have a boon basically to them, which enables them to survive 100 times, right? And throughout history, these guys had that. Some were aware of it, some weren't. Some people used it to their advantage to build, the Fighting Federation. There he is right there, El Super Hombre.
Yeah.
And to
Some people get an idea.
Yeah, just to get
That's
the
cool.
lore. And right now, like in the comic books, you'll see El Super Hombre debut, but he's wearing a green mask. And if you back the comic book, you got that version of him. Because El Super Hombre can't wear that mask yet in our comic book because he hasn't earned the right to the Hombre legacy. So he's setting out to prove that he's worthy of wearing the mask. And he's going to learn a lot about his history, of his uncle, of his father, of his great-grandfather, and all of this is going to come together very, very nicely. And what we did is some of the stories are from different perspectives, but they all tie into El Super Hombre's path in season 1. And then his nemesis Snake Pit is going to unfold from the original box set. So a lot of the stuff from the game has been modeled into the storyline.
Nice.
Did you have any idea when you set out to do this? Did you know how popular wrestling comics were on Kickstarter?
No, you know what? I knew that wrestling was very, very popular. And that was one of my pitches to like companies like Topps. Where I would go in there and I'd say, listen, on a Monday, the WWE chants are #1 trending thing on Twitter.
Right.
And that demographic of people watching stuff, somebody says something stupid, The Rock calls somebody a Fruity Pebble, #Fruity Pebble is the #1 trending thing for 4 hours,
Right.
And like that just shows how popular wrestling is. It's beating out football. It's beating out politics most of the time, other sports, TV shows. So wrestling does have a huge following.
It does.
Wrestling comics, there are a lot of great ones out there. A lot of them focus on wrestling. Now, ours is wrestling. It's more fighting themed with wrestling rules, but it actually, our characters have lore and like intertwining stories. So I think it's a little different from some other wrestling ones because you have Rock Newman, who's a straight up businessman. He's almost like a mafia-like boss, and he uses his smarts and his connections to link up with these fighters, and some of them are actually gifted with powers and stuff. And he's able to use them. So it has this really cool dynamic where you get like the Godfather-like aspect of Rock Newman. You get the silly characters around them. And you also get these super serious characters with these legacies on their shoulder that they're fighting for. And it's come together really awesome. Much better than I had anticipated. Because once you really start diving into it, and COVID again, to take a negative and make it positive, it gave us tons of time where me and the creative team, shout out to Mr. Patrick Mulligan, just countless hours where we'd get on a Zoom, we'd record it, and before we know it, we've gone 3.5 hours into talking about an issue. And then, oh no, this needs to be 2 issues. This needs to be in season 2. This is going to be here, and really being able to flesh it out. It's always been a dream of mine to do that. So to see, something published and actually come out really great, it's just been an awesome ride.
What's next, Steve?
I don't know. I love music right now. I've been trying to help people produce some custom music for the game. We also have an app that we've been trying to develop for a very long time. My original mindset was no app because I want the game to be centered on people getting together and hanging out. Listen, I haven't seen CaseyJane in a while. Every time I see her, it's amazing. But she'll tell you, when you get together and you go to a con and you go to a store, there's nothing like that.
Nothing
and
like it.
Games like that is just amazing. So I didn't want to do an app at first, but now I really feel that the app can enhance the community and link people up. So I'm hoping by the end of the year, we're able to get an app up and running. We have been able to play a full game on that, and we're working with a startup company. So that's very exciting. So I hope that app would come out. I would like to continue to do a concept that I did a proof of concept a couple of years ago, a show called The Voiceover, which Dirk, I'm sure there's got to be something we could put you on if we're doing voiceovers. And that basically is read-throughs of the comic with the comic on screen with voiceover actors. And we've had some great artists. Heather Beaupre, one of our artists, creates little chibi characters. So like our vision is to have all our custom music and sound effect and little chibi characters in the corner. And when you do the read through, the character actually talks and interacts. So you kind of get like a little mock animation towards it. So I think that'll be a really fun project to dive into.
Cool.
However, I'm trying to wait till I have like 5 episodes complete, because I feel like if it was just 1 and 2, it'd be a little flat. At least if we were able to do, issue 1 through 5 of the voiceover, it would be like something you could really dive into.
Yeah. Look, you've obviously done as much as you can, to put your heart and soul into Supershow. Do you have something sitting on the back burner that kind of completely unrelated that you'd like to do?
Yes. So gaming wise, I've actually developed a lot of games that are great and people love. I don't have a lot of industry experience to get the components together, and Supershow for me takes up a lot of time that it's hard to dive into something else. I made a game called Scally Wager. I love Pirates of the Caribbean. It's a rendition of Liar's Dice with, you know, 2 types of cards that you play. That our artwork is done. It's been done for many years. I also worked on a game called Southside, which is basically like Settlers of Catan. Instead, it takes place in Southside, Jamaica, Queens in 1988 during the crack epidemic.
Wow.
And it's based on a fantastic series by a gentleman by the name of Tahim Bryan, who actually recently passed away, which was very tragic because he produced a movie called Equal Standard, which was fantastic. So whether or not we'd be able to bring that to life would be really special. We also are working on other games. We're working with a new company called Sprites Law. It was a game that I played about 2 years ago. I thought it was amazing. It has these creatures called sprites that are basically, they enchant your wand and you have wizard battling using sprites. That's a brand new game that we're going to be releasing. It was all done, packaged, done, play tested. We're just going to help launch it. So that's something that I'd hope to, be able to put out. Now that my company is growing and we have guys on staff that are able to help produce this, I look forward to, expanding into other things. And as I said, I like music. I really enjoy, I enjoy creating music with my friends, writing music, from hip hop to pop songs. I do it totally for fun, but I like to have it for our own soundtracks and stuff. I don't know if I would ever try to do that as something to make money on, but that's just something that I've been really enjoying, being able to do, have a music studio and guys produce different beats and stuff. So I love to have it because of the streaming element, and you could use it for the apps and you could use it for, if we do animations and stuff. But that's been, really great, really fun to just do something that is just not even focusing on making money, just something you just enjoy doing as a hobby right now.
Sure. All right. Well, let's get your links out here, Steve. First off is the Kickstarter, which is going right now. It's going to be going for another 18 days. So you've got basically 3 weeks to get over there and bid on that.
And it's a good time to get in. Wednesday, we're doing a raffle for some backers. We have some cool prizes. As I said, we have produced in the U.S. for many years now. We advertise the late delivery time because things happen, like before everything shut down. But I can say that we're going to deliver way ahead of schedule.
Hi, Jerry.
We've done this a whole bunch of times, so we know what we're doing. We're going to deliver on time. You're going to get a lot of stuff. If you're interested in checking the game out, I'm telling you, this is not a sales pitch. We design our box sets to be very, very good. It is based off the original deck, but instead of getting cards from the top of the deck, you get it from the bottom of the deck. Now, if you know how to play Supershow, being able to get cards from the bottom of your deck is very, very advantageous. So this deck is awesome. It's a good way to play at home. The characters in it are super fun. So it's a great time to check it out. There's also the Supershow discussion group, has about 1,000 active members. It's one big family. It's very wrestling flavored. Like all families, sometimes they fight all day long. Sometimes they love each other more than life itself. It's definitely an exciting ride to be a part of. And, the people are very helpful. We've started our group on Play It Forward. If you signed up for the group and said you're a new player, I'm pretty sure people would send you some free stuff. And that's really amazing on the community. People have a lot of extras and they help them out. Like I said, sometimes it's like, whoa, what's going on here? This guy's dressed like a clown. This guy's hitting somebody with a kendo stick. This guy's going live every 25 seconds. There's a lot of fun stuff going on. But it's really, if you're able to immerse yourself into that world, the discussion group has a lot of fun things going on in it.
For sure. Where can people find that?
That's the easiest route for me to do. I just say go to Google, type in Facebook, SRG Super Show Discussion Group. It'll pop right up. And the reason why I say go through Google is we have privacy setting on our group. So you have to be invited, or you can't just stroll in there. You have to be approved. This is because we're in the age of so many bots. If we don't do that, who's selling sunglasses? Who's selling football jerseys and stuff? You got to monitor it that way. We also have a Twitch page, twitch.tv/SRG Universe. This has been, a great addition. On Tuesday, right now, we do the Supershow Dojo, where players can play against the staff with a webcam. If they win, them and a play it forward partner get an item for free. If they lose, that the house puts that item on sale for you to buy. So you can either win free stuff or get stuff at a discount. Wednesdays nights on Twitch, we do Talk of the Universe. That's our talk show. We recap things that happened in the week, what's coming up later in the week, and sometimes we have some featured matches. And Thursday on Twitch, I actually added a new program, which is called Expanding the Universe, where I work on, in real time, cards that people have commissioned. I build them and play test them in real time on stream. So that's been really fun. It's actually really big help for me because I can't type for anything. So everybody points out all my mistakes all day long. And it makes my editor's job a lot easier.
I can confirm this, by the way.
Yeah, it's bad. And it's getting worse as I get older, I can't spell, or all my letters are jumbled up and mixed up, and it's real fun if you just want to just abuse me for 2 hours on all the
all right. Well, is that all of the places that they can find you, Steve?
Those are the best places. We're also on Instagram. I don't get to give Instagram as much love as it deserves. There's a Twitter, SRG Universe on Twitter, SRG _ on Instagram. Those would be the best places to find. The supershowthegame.com is where you could find all your Super Show needs.
Cool. All right. Well, Steve, you want to stick around for our next segment, or do we need to let
I'm going to jump because I have a couple guys in the store I haven't seen for a while.
Cool.
But I would love to join you guys again. I know you guys
Please.
are talking a little bit about the Batman and some games that are coming up. So far, from my point, I've heard a lot of good things, so I might check it out as well. But it was a pleasure joining you guys. It always is. I'll keep you guys updated. Dirk, you're going to get the call when we need some voiceovers, all right? We'll get the voiceover up and running.
I'm ready, man.
CaseyJane, it was awesome to see you. You look amazing as always.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a real hero as a nurse in real life. We appreciate that. I'll tell you that all the time, especially what we went through in the past couple of years. You're my idol with the unemployment job. I'm trying to be just like you. All right.
Hey, well, I'm working now. There you
go.
It's just a 80-mile round trip to and from work. So
well, I'm glad to hear that you're working. And it's always great to work no matter what it is. So good to hear that, guys. You are amazing at Taskforce Geek. I appreciate you making some time for me to let me promote on the Kickstarter.
Hey, thank you, Steven. You're welcome back anytime, man. You know that.
I appreciate it. Bye, man.
Bye.
All right, have a good one.
Bye-bye. All right, I'm going to take us to our next segment there. Let's put us up like this. How about that? Oh, look at this. Look who's, well, let me go through our next deal, and then I'll invite someone new. How much do you like that music?
Bro, I can fist bump to that. That's
How's
great.
that treating you?
That's mosh pit music for me.
All right, let's welcome Scott.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Howdy. I hope my sound's good. So,
well, actually, you just dropped out for a second. Are you okay?
How's my sound?
It's good.
Okay.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Sometimes I always have it on the wrong.
Scott.
Oh, well, I am pretty, I'm half man, half amazing. So,
I like that.
I stole that. I think
He didn't come up with that
MVP, the pro wrestler, used it, but somebody else, he stole it from somebody else. So, anyways.
I know.
Absolutely true. All right, so here is our subject, and it's The Batman. Show opened on Friday. We're going to talk a little bit about the box office here in a moment, but what I want to first do is say who has seen the movie.
Haven't seen it yet.
Haven't seen it yet either.
Scott hadn't seen it. Okay, well, we are not going to spoil it or anything. The main reason why I wanted to have CaseyJane on is not just for that Steve was on, but I knew that she would want to talk about this film. So please don't spoil anything, CaseyJane, but I'm going to go to you first, and you can tell us what your impression is of this film.
Biggest spoiler, Robert Pattinson is hot as hell in this movie, and I highly recommend it. All right, back to no spoilers now. I really liked it. and I've seen all the Batman films. I thought he did great as being Batman. It's not typical how Batman is. I don't want to say portrayed because obviously it's still Batman, but in past how he's portrayed, it's a little different. It works. It works. In my opinion. I've had a lot of people on Twitter disagree with me, and I don't care.
I know they were giving you a little hate there. I
did you see that?
I did. I don't even understand. I don't understand what people are doing. What their issue is, but I don't know why they're picking on you because you have an opinion. But I mean, right here, you can say you can say whatever you want to here.
I really did enjoy it. I will say the only thing I will complain about, and this is not a spoiler, it's just something to get prepared for. It's weird. I wish I had subtitles. I couldn't understand part of it.
What?
Oh no! I have bad hearing. I can't see it.
What was it that you couldn't hear?
I'm not gonna say that. We'll talk later.
It's something specific?
Well, I didn't see it, so I will say it. I will say that I heard there's a lot of mumbling in it, or
are you talking about
whispery
maybe
talk.
The Riddler, the way that he talked?
No, I'm talking about
The Riddler's in it. Thanks for spoiling it, Dirk.
Didn't you know that?
Everybody knew this.
I mean, from the first trailer, everyone knew that was the Riddler.
I know.
And you know what? I had the same issue with Dune.
Yes.
Oh, I heard that. I heard people complain about that.
I had the same issue with Dune.
There's
I really heard it.
Scenes
I heard some real serious complaints about Tenet, but that was edited so that you couldn't hear certain things. That was
done intentionally.
By design there.
Yeah.
There were just certain scenes in a certain place where you just couldn't really tell what he was saying.
Okay.
When you see the movie, you'll understand, and then we can talk about it. But yeah. Overall, though, great movie. And there's only certain places that you couldn't really understand, but also I'm deaf.
What?
So, exactly.
Scott, you say that you're having trouble hearing movies too?
Dude, I'm old.
It's okay.
It's time to face reality that listening to loud music as a kid. I
get it.
Oh, I know.
Well, Jennifer will tell you if I'm deaf or not. So I don't know. I think I can hear fine. Let me tell you something. When I'm trying to sleep at night, I can hear the clock tick.
Like next door.
Tick. No, like it's in my head and it's a giant gong going off. So I wish I didn't hear at night. No, there's a lot of shows that do that. I used to get mad at The Walking Dead for the same thing. Like you go, what the hell? And you rewind it and you do it like 3 times. And I don't know if Jennifer didn't notice it either until I started bringing it up. And then she's like, I still don't understand what they're saying. So I think it's more commonplace than ever.
And then you wait 2 seconds, you have the volume all the way up so you can understand them. And then it's bang, loud music. That's now even more loud.
But they go to the ads.
Oh my God.
That are 2.5 times louder.
Yes.
Which is supposed to be illegal to do now, but they still do it.
They say that it's set at the volume of the loudest thing. So if there's an explosion in the episode, the ads can be set at that loud.
Yep.
What?
Yep.
There's so much science behind this.
So the feedback I've gotten from people with Batman, and since I sometimes work at a comic store, has been really 33% in all directions. It's just okay. It's the best Batman I've seen. Gary, my friend Gary, who's been on the show before, and he'll poo-poo a lot of movies if he doesn't like it. He's the opinion. He said maybe his favorite version of Batman ever. And then I've heard other people that said, I don't know why I bothered. It was terrible. So I just don't know if people are just going into it with expectations or no expectations or what, or they're carrying the grudge of, he's the sparkly vampire over or so I don't know. I hope to see it.
You made CaseyJane all sad.
Well, I mean, that's okay. You probably lusted after Team Edward and stuff like that and other people. Walt's
I watched them all the other day.
Oh God, Walt's a team werewolf guy, so he's all about, he's Jacob or whatever.
Walt is a team not going to watch that series of movies ever.
Try your shake. It's a blood shake. It's good.
That's Vampire Diaries, not Twilight.
No, she drinks a blood milkshake. Yeah,
it's not a milkshake.
Vampires are one of those things that I'm really tired of too.
That's okay.
Batman and vampires.
I
Are
will
you
say-
tired of Batman, Walt? Really?
Wow.
I'm
That's
tired of
shocking.
Batman movies. Yeah, I mean, I'll go see it, but I'm really tired of Batman. I'm especially tired of Batman starting over and over and over and over.
Well, let me. That's what I was going to ask Casey since she's seen it. Without spoiling it, yes or no? Do they re-show his whole origin again, or do they give you like the 3-minute synopsis in the credits, or just somewhere in the movie? Because I really hate when they reset these things and 30 minutes of the movie are devoted to the re-origin of him.
Actually, any minutes of the movie dedicated to the re-origin of him.
They
Walt
don't
is
talk about
salty.
his origin isn't mentioned.
Like
at all.
his dead parents or nothing like that.
Everyone.
They're
Well,
mentioned, but not like.
Okay,
dead
they don't go into
parents
details.
are- The dead parents are a major part of the plot, but they did not redo the scene
Okay.
where, it's outside the movie theater and all of that sort of stuff. But, the parents are involved in his evolution in a completely different way than, has been presented
portrayed.
in any movies or anything. They definitely did not retell the origin story. They
That's
know
good.
that everyone going in there knows the origin story, and they don't need to go past that. It's just like with Spider-Man. It's like you don't have to see him get bit by the spider. It's okay. Everyone gets it.
You don't have to see Uncle Ben
it's
get
just-
killed
it's
again.
a waste of time. You don't have to go through that. Let me say a few things. I saw it on Friday with our Friday night.
Oh, I
show.
thought you said you did not see it.
No, I did see it.
You didn't raise your hand.
Okay, well,
think
I
you're
was
better than
asking the
us?
question. This is basically like something that we haven't seen on several levels. Batman is a detective in this film.
Good.
It's not just something where it is mentioned. It is like Detective Comics. He goes from one place to another place. I mean, literally shows up in crime scenes and stuff and starts picking the stuff apart like, Sherlock Holmes, which is awesome because that's a major part of who Batman is, but it never has been translated either into film or on television.
It has in
that is
books.
something it has in books. Yeah.
I mean, because there was a Andrew
They
Vox
had a
book
major-
where he
yeah.
was more. It was basically Bruce Wayne the detective and kind of Batman.
For those who don't know, number one, Batman began in Detective Comics,
Right.
and his tagline is he's the world's greatest detective. So most people know him because he punches people in the face, but his actual thing is doing detective work, and they definitely played into that heavily into this film. Also, we've never seen, besides like, let's say Gotham, if you want to count that, we haven't seen a young, early Batman. This is like Batman year 2. I mean, they literally say he's been doing this for 2 years. So that justifies why you have a, Pattinson playing the character. And it also is it's a flawed Batman. He's not perfect in every way. He makes mistakes. People get the drop on him from time to time. He's vulnerable. Which is interesting. I think that's an interesting take on that character. They have a lot of different people from the Rogues Gallery in this film, and some of them are like the Riddler, for example, is way far afield from what he usually is. He is putting out riddles, and you have to solve it and that sort of stuff. But he's also very much like a character from the movie Seven. I mean, he's doing kind of.
He's evil.
Yeah, he's evil.
He's not a prankster. He's evil.
These
and
are
it's
not
like-
pranks, and these
No.
are it's for a Batman film. It's pretty dark. It's pretty like brutal in some of the scenes. It's not a rated R film. You don't see what's happening, but you know what's happening. They might blur the film, or they might have it happen off screen, but you know what's happening. And so if you have little kids, I think this might be too mature for little kids.
Yeah.
But with that said, I liked this version of the Riddler, and the guy who plays him really has a hell of a, when you finally get to hear from him, he's got a hell of a performance in him. I mean, he really brings it in this thing. Catwoman is controversial in some ways. to some people, I guess.
Unjustly, but
This is one of my favorite versions of Catwoman, I believe. I think she's super hot. I think that they really played into the comic version of the character with all of the cats and her not being pure evil or pure good. She's very mercurial.
she's like chaotic neutral.
Yeah, you never really know kind of what her motivations are. You can tell that she is very much for the kind of the underdog and that sort of thing. You're not sure if you can trust her or not. She's a badass. I like the outfit. Not really a big fan of her mask, which is really just a kind of a I can't even
I don't
say
know.
what it is. It's a pea hat. That's basically what she's wearing. It's like a pullover, knit hood.
Now
But I'm also
you're making me Google it.
Do you want me to tell you what it actually is?
Oh, I see what it is.
well.
It looks like
it's
a-
It's a
Looks
ski
like a
mask.
Looks like a
it's
ski
a
mask.
ski
yeah.
mask,
It's a ski mask that's cut.
right? But it also has the kitty ears. Anyway,
Kind of.
Overall, I
Um,
did like it. Again, like you said, without the mask, I prefer a different mask. But her as a character and how they portrayed her, the actress, I really liked this version of her.
I thought she was great. A matter of fact, the only person I think that would be marginally better would be Michelle Pfeiffer. I just think that, I kind of like her super fetishy version and the way that she's kind of completely unhinged, which is, hard to believe.
Are
Right?
people
Chocolate.
giving this
Good belief.
Catwoman a hard time because she's African American?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that have an issue with that, and
Eartha
Her-
Kitt?
maybe
I
Right.
forgot.
a few, right, and maybe a few lines that she says in there. She's very, which they
Yeah.
could, they could have left some of that out, but
Yeah.
but it fits with the character. It's not like it's off character for her to say, what she did. So I don't have a problem with that. I know that everyone is super gunched up about woke stuff, but again, I say I feel like I'm a pretty good indicator of whether the woke stuff is, is
Too
something that
dramatic.
is too, like it's too heavy-handed, or the whole point of the thing is the woke stuff. That's definitely not the case here. Definitely not the case.
And it's very justified what she says.
Everything, like I said, is perfectly fits with the character perfectly. As far as in the realm of Batman films, I think in many ways this is one of my favorite Batman films. Maybe like a close second to The Dark Knight. And honestly, there are things that I like about this film more than The Dark Knight. It does not have the standout performance of Heath Ledger. So it takes a ding on that. But overall, the world and the cinematography and the story and the take on the characters, very much in line with Batman, and very mature and well developed. There's a theme on this thing. There's a moment around the end of it which really brings that all together and evolves that character in ways that I've never seen before. I think it's excellent. I really enjoy it. I've had scenes from this movie in my mind since I saw it so much that I really want, and I don't do this very often, I really want to go back into the theater and see this thing again because it is really well done.
I will say it's so long.
It is a 3-hour
very
damn hour
long.
movie, Scott Prime. It is a nearly 3-hour movie.
So you're telling me don't drink anything
Don't.
and
Because you
wait
don't
till
wanna
the
miss
8th trailer to
No,
go
I
take a
practically
whiz.
ran to the bathroom after this thing, and I went right before I went.
I heard too from a few
I
people
also
that
had a beer, so
with the trailers and the movie, it was a long night. It's like, what are you doing tonight?
it is
Just watching Batman.
I could have taken another 2 hours. I mean, I really enjoyed this world that they created and the way that they did the Rogues Gallery and the story. The story is excellent. I mean, it's a better story than what, like I'm saying, it's better than The Dark Knight as far as story. Now, so here's the final thing. I'm going to give Robert Pattinson props because I thought he was great. I think he pulled off both of the roles that he was given, Bruce Wayne and Batman. I thought that he was suitably scary, kind of gothic version of Batman. He has a few surprises under his sleeve. I bought him in both roles, though.
Real quick, Dirk, I know the movie crew that you're talking about that goes sees movies and eats on Friday nights. Was the majority of them like it?
I think everyone enjoyed the movie.
All right. That tells me a lot. So
I would say, right. It's let's say a kind of an older crowd, but a comic crowd that knows this stuff backwards and forwards.
No major complaints then.
If there was something, right, if there was something that was way off or something, they would have really expressed, their distaste on that. So I would say that there were, everyone had their issues.
Well, sure, there's nitpicks if you want to, but
sure. But I think overall, everyone felt like this was a hell of a, a movie overall. Like a really strong movie.
Okay, that's good.
I want to say one other thing, though. I feel very strongly Ben Affleck is still my favorite version of Batman because it's so close to he's an older Batman, which I always like, kind of the grizzled Batman. And maybe even a little closer. This universe is closer to the Dark Knight, where it is kind of as close as you can get to being reality with also having, all the crazy characters and all the stupid stuff that goes on. It's not reality. It certainly isn't. It's very gritty. The Ben Affleck Batman was the type of guy who was getting shot in the head and, it just made him mad. And he would pick up, tires and throw it at people and, he's doing a little bit more of the kind of comic book style stuff that I like. I thought that was cool. But just like everyone goes, who's the greatest Joker? You have to realize that each of these characters are designed for the kind of the universe that they're in. And like the Ben Affleck version of Batman would be goofy in this universe. It wouldn't work. So, you have to also take into account that. And I have one other thing. I wish that Ben Affleck had been given a Batman movie where it's just him in a Batman movie. That's not going to happen now. I think that's a shame. I don't know why we didn't get that 3 years ago, but c'est la vie. The final thing is this Batmobile is the coolest effing Batmobile I've ever seen. At the when they debut this Batmobile, you want to talk about getting chills and stuff. For the first time ever, I'm like, it's a hot rod. It's awesome.
And the technology they added, not just to that, but everything.
Awesome. It is.
They're selling a little graphic or whatever for the Batman car to play in Rocket League. So I've seen it.
Well, I need you to
Sean mentioned that. Said Scott's going to be happy about that.
Yeah, I just don't know.
The Batmobile is amazing on this thing, and that's not the only thing. The design on this film, top to bottom, art design, character design, everything, and cinematography. If this thing doesn't get nominated for cinematography, then I'm throwing out my Oscar.
And guess what else is in it?
I don't have an Oscar.
Bats. I was so happy. There are bats, and I was so happy.
Anyway, I really enjoyed the film, and I think that other people will. I want to just touch on the fact that it had the second highest opening weekend after the Spider-Man film that just came out for the pandemic. They said that I think it's 128 domestic. I don't know what it did worldwide, but I'm sure it tacked on another 100, 200 million. That's good numbers in any age, but certainly right now when some people are still worried about going to the theater.
Domestic, it made 134 million debut.
Yeah, so even more than I heard. That's good. Does it say worldwide?
Give me 1 second.
It is not opening in Russia.
It is not opening in Russia. I wonder why.
258 million.
Is that cumulative
worldwide?
Or okay, that's the cumulative number, I guess. So another 100 million. It's a good debut, folks.
Says it surpasses expectations by a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, global is 2. Yeah.
That's a good start. That's a good start to
Yeah.
to what will surely be a franchise. You know,
Well, yeah, we'll get at least 2 more movies out of it. At
they're
least.
already talking about having a Penguin television
that's already-
series that goes to HBO Max. I guess
That's already in production.
it's in production. That's not a rumor.
It's not a rumor.
Okay.
Crazy.
Help
And-
me. Who's the guy who played him? I can't think of it.
Colin
In
Farrell.
Bruges?
Colin Farrell.
Colin
Bullseye.
Farrell. He's great. He's great in the film. You wouldn't know it was him if you didn't know it was him.
And they're saying that the series will get the mature rating.
Really?
There's rumor that the series will get the
Is it
mature
going to be
rating.
kind of like, I think we were talking, is it going to be kind of like Casino or something where he owns a...
I don't know. I'm not sure. I didn't go that deep into the details on what the show was going to be
I have
about.
to say that HBO Max series are pretty good. So, I'm
I mean,
excited to see
Peacemaker
what they do
was-
here. So-
Peacemaker was awesome.
Yeah, it certainly was.
But of course, that's James Gunn too. So,
I'm surprised no one else chimed in. Does anyone have anything that they want to say about Batman before we move on?
I haven't
haven't-
seen it, so I
I
can't.
haven't seen it, so I can't really say
understand.
anything.
No,
so.
Robert Pattinson is so hot.
I mean,
I can't wait. I'm gonna take Lotion to the theater when I see
You
it.
should. You
It's
should.
so
I think
hot.
that would be appropriate, Scott.
What is that grown man doing? I love Robert Pattinson. I don't even know his name. I just love this man.
I'm telling Jen.
Wow.
Oh,
She knows.
She knows.
She
She knows I
knows.
love him.
She knows.
She'll be there.
Perfect.
We're moving
I gotta
on.
have somebody look out for it. I don't want to get caught.
That's right. She's a good wing. Do you call it like a wing woman?
A wing woman.
I think
She's-
that's something different.
She's a great partner in crime. I'll just do that.
Partner in crime. Interesting. Interesting. Oh, here we
Well,
go.
after I'm done, she can go, right? I mean,
Zoe
like,
Kravitz.
He likes Zoe. I mean, Zoe Kravitz has never looked better, and she looks great, but she has never looked hotter than in this film. She plays Catwoman. I mean, we definitely get that.
There we go, Jen.
Jen says she'll use lotion too.
see? What a helping hand. It will be amazing. I won't have to do the work. I could be the watch out person.
She's not talking about you.
She's a good wing woman.
Oh.
Oh. You gotta do that yourself, buddy.
All right, we're moving to the next set. Oh, wait a minute, we got a comment. Let's get it in before. But is she Pfeiffer Catwoman hot? Yes, but I still give the edge to Michelle Pfeiffer.
To you, Steve, I will say, is she Julie Newmar hot? But is she Julie Newmar hot?
Yeah, Julie Newmar was
actually-
amazing. Still,
Can't we have-
and-
Actually, I'm a Lee Merriweather fan.
all right.
I mean, let's just
All-
have
all good.
a league of Catwomen that we all
Let's
think
have
are
a-
hot. That's okay.
Catwoman off.
Because Lee Merriweather was the first one, and I think she was much better than
I mean, Look,
Julie Newmar.
let's be honest.
That's
Halle
just
Berry
me.
was hot too. She was just in a hot mess
bad
of a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the problem there.
Oh,
is
don't get me
that
wrong.
it's
I like
just
Halle Berry too, but still, it's still Lee Merriweather for me.
Halle Berry's
Tu
the first
Wong
Catwoman I
Fu,
saw.
baby. Good Lord.
Tu
That is
Wong Fu.
That is an old movie. All right. We're moving on to the next subject. I think this is actually going to be pretty quick deal, but I would just want to follow up on that Martha is Dead game that CaseyJane mentioned. Right after we had the subject, the reason why we brought it up is that PlayStation, Sony, wanted to have it censored because they said that it had some graphic content in it, which is kind of unusual. You don't hear them censoring games. So they had to modify the game to play on the PlayStation. Well, CaseyJane played the game, so we can get an opinion on it about how graphic it was and kind of what you think overall. So
Was it like naughty graphic or like gory graphic?
No, like gory apparently is the issue.
And it's a little bit of both, actually. We didn't know about the naughty part, but
So
so-
Like
there's
full
some naughty
penetration?
no, not like that. It's just mentioned.
Mm.
The mentioning of it also got taken out completely
Oh,
by
really?
Sony. Yes.
Okay.
I cannot say it on here, but I'll DM you guys what it was.
All right.
So I played the game on Steam. Oh yes. So I played the game on Steam. So I had the full uncut how it was meant to be played. It was a 7-hour game. I played it launch day, one session. I just played it through.
Wow.
Oh my lord. So it's not what I thought it was going to be. It was a walking simulator. There was a bunch of things that just like were random, had nothing to do with the story. Well, they did, but like you didn't have to do them. I apparently just gave myself extra work. There were a lot of gory stuff in it. For example, if you saw the trailer, there was a scene where Dirk, can I say what the scene was?
Yeah, I think so.
You take a dog tag and you cut the face off of your deceased sister, your deceased twin sister, and then you physically rip it off and then you put it on. And it goes into like a dream sequence. That's an interactive scene, so you physically have to take your mouse and like carve. So what they did with PlayStation was they made it non-interactive. It was like a cutscene, pretty much.
They just showed you what happened instead
Yes.
of doing
You could make like just a little
With the-
mask and take the eyes.
No, you didn't need the eyes. The eyes stayed. Those are still in the sockets. But,
I meant like a Lone Ranger mask of her face.
which is weird.
I'm trying to
because
be silly.
Which is weird though, because it's also your face. Your twins.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
so that was one of the
You
scenes.
don't need a mask for your own face.
Maybe if she was the hotter of the twins. I mean, maybe.
No, they were exactly the same. Nonetheless, I concur. It possibly was hotter, but not really because they're the same. Another scene where you chop someone up. I'm not telling you who it is in case anyone wants to play.
Yeah, I mean,
That also got censored. That you can't do it yourself.
Yeah.
Then there is an ending scene where it's like the dream sequence again, where she's like recalling everything that happened and then everything that happens in the future with like it's kind of like a monologue. And then there was one part where she explains what she was doing to herself. This is the sexual naughty thing, Scott.
Yeah.
I'm
just going to play this part.
That whole monologue got erased from Sony. She says the M word once, and the whole scene got redone.
M word?
Yeah, what you're going to be doing in Batman.
That's the issue?
Yes.
Is saying it?
Yep. You don't see anything. It's a white screen because it's a monologue.
Right.
You don't see anything, but because she said it, it got taken out.
Interesting.
I mean, this seems...
Why? I don't know.
Interesting.
So, in your opinion, do you think that the changes are necessary? I mean, comparing it to other games.
Does Sony just want to sell it to like preteens and 13-year-old kids without getting in trouble from parents who they downloaded on their system?
No, I couldn't tell you what the reasoning was. Now that I played it, it's just like, what's the difference? The only like change that got completely cut. Oh no, there's another scene that got not completely cut, but you can't physically do it. You just watch the cutscene of it, and that take it from me. I've been in heart surgery. I have held a human heart in my hand. I was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable with that. But anyway, all of those stayed. It was just a cutscene. You just physically did not move your controller to do it yourself. You just watched it happen. What's the difference?
Yeah.
I don't get what the difference is.
Well, look, I haven't played a lot of games that are excessively gory, but I know that they're out there. Why did they pick on this particular film, this particular game, do you think?
I couldn't tell you.
They wouldn't sell out to them.
They wouldn't go exclusive?
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, not just exclusive, hey, we want to buy you out. And they said no.
Yeah. I don't understand the reasoning. Now that I played it, it's just like, whatever. You're watching it anyway.
Right. It wasn't so
I mean, it was. But again, you're watching it anyway. You're just not physically moving your hand.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. The game overall was good. It got very confusing at times. very confusing at times, especially towards the end. You're just like, what? Like, kind of like that. But it was overall good. It was fun. You're a photographer. I learned how to focus in pictures. It's like a very big. You develop the pictures, like
you
have to
develop
like
the pictures, right? Yeah. I
Oh
read that.
yeah, it is very detailed, but it was cool. Yeah, but again, I played the real version of it.
Yeah. What did you play it on?
My
Steam.
computer.
Steam.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess it's.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm glad we got a follow up on that because I wanted to know what the heck it was that was so egregious.
Mhm.
He was gonna get it if there was some graphic sex. That's why I had to ask if there was
No, I'm sorry.
penetration. Now he's not gonna bother.
I'm out.
He's done.
I got other things to buy.
After the stream, I'll tell you guys like what the actual stuff is, but I don't want to say it on stream.
You'll have
we
to
like
tune in for our
monetization.
pay-per-view episode to hear what that is.
There we go.
All right, Scott, do you have at the table to do or?
I can.
All right, well, we're going to that next. Let's see, what are we going to do? We'll do.
I got to tell me.
We'll do this.
I'm
right
ready.
All right, it's at the table.
Ah.
Tell us some games.
Yeah, we're gonna
Turn it
see if
over to you, buddy.
we do games or one game today.
That's good.
Last week, I think I mentioned I was gonna talk about Marvel Champions. Continue with the solo play thing. I think I'm gonna be a big fat liar on that because this weekend we have a board game group that we get together the first Friday of every month because I mean, quite frankly, you know, I got the cool girl who wants to play games all the time. Jen's always down for board gaming. These other guys have wives who don't like, you know, they'd rather like read a book and go to sleep early. So they have to really plan their board gaming around, you know, and they have to plan it and make sure they don't get in trouble if they stay too long. So when we get together with these guys, we start, you know, 6:37-ish, and they want to play until dawn if possible because,
Wow.
you know, they're not going to get to do
They
it.
got to get it in.
They have to get it in. They have the hall pass that night. So we played another session of our Arcadia Quest campaign, which I'm not going to really go into, but it's little chibi miniatures. It's a fantastic, I would almost call it like an arcade style dungeon crawl where everybody's versing the scenario itself and each other, and you go on quests. It's a blast. Look it up if you ever want to, Arcadia Quest. But we had time to, it was about 10 o'clock, and me and Jen was fine with like, oh, you guys can leave and we'll have some private time and go to bed because it's Friday night. But they were like, oh, we got to play another game because we don't get this opportunity too often. So after looking around through the hundreds of games we have over here, they decided let's play some Mansions of Madness. Now, this is an older game. I believe it came out in maybe 2016, 2017. This was the first game where me and Jen was on like a road trip, and we were at the big gaming store in Madness Comics, and I walk around the corner and she has this $100 board game in her hand, and I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, I think I might buy this. And it was that moment that I was just like, shit, this girl's might not be faking this, you know, like just, I mean, $100 is a commitment, right? Sight unseen board game without watching a YouTube video or anything. So I knew she was kind of serious, and we've played it once since then. So this Friday night they were like, let's play this again. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. This is the second edition. This was out before in like the early 2000s, and the good and bad, I'll kind of go over that. It is a 1 to 5 player game. If you look down there at the bottom over here, so you could play this solo. What's that?
I know that font.
Oh, you know this font?
Yes.
Yeah, well, so this is set in the world of, I would say probably like 1920, 1930-ish, where you're like detectives and everything's Cthulhu, right? So like it's all creepy stuff and monsters and cults and all this stuff. And the reason we haven't really brought this to the table is because we played it with some other people, and you really need to. It has with it. You cannot play this game without the app, so that's good and bad. If you're like scared of technology, like I kind of am at times because I just never messed with it. But our friend Brock was there, and he already had the app on his phone, and he owns the game. So he's like, "Yeah, I'll just reteach you since it's been a while." And it's fantastic in like the game design. I thought it was actually really good, and I don't like Cthulhu things. I mean, not really. They're okay, but I think like Walt is tired of vampires and Batman. I'm tired of Cthulhu things because everything Cthulhu is like you notice your brow is wet and you wipe the sweat from it, and then it turns into fire-breathing frogs, and those frogs also be snakes, and then you die. You cut off your own face like in that game, and you kill yourself. So you go insane. So I get tired of all these Cthulhu themed games, but it is a popular theme. So we all took our characters. Brock just plugged them into this app that was run on his phone. He said it's way better with a tablet because you can read everything. But once you plug in which characters you're playing, you pick a mission, and it takes the mission and it just walks you through steps. It kind of gives you a beginning story, like, hey, you get contacted by this guy to come investigate this. And then as you move through the game, it says set up this tile. And it tells you where there's little points of interest, just like if you were playing Resident Evil or something, where you see like, oh, there's a little shimmer over here. I could go look at this painting and investigate if I want to. So it is one of those games where you just go around looking for clues and discover things. You have to make checks all throughout the game. Like my character only had 2 strength. So when it came to like actually fighting, I only got to roll 2 dice, and there is a dice component, which I do love the randomness of dice in a lot of board games. Everybody takes their turn, not in a set order. If I thought like, if me and Dirk was playing and I thought he had a better chance to kill the bad guy before me, I'd let him go first if he wanted to. So it gives you a lot of freedom on investigating things and how you want to do your turn order. Also, after everybody goes, there's this thing called the mythos phase. And what the app does is you hit the button. We're all done with our turns. And it just randomly goes to somebody. And it says, you need to make a will check. And you go like, how many successes do I need on this thing? It doesn't tell you. Sometimes it does, but a lot of times it just doesn't tell you. So when you roll the dice, you have options to maybe turn failures into successes. And you don't know what to do. It's like, I rolled 3 successes. Do I need 4? Do I need 5? For example, I was going to pick up and eat some like disgusting moldy bread, but I rolled enough successes that I didn't eat it and probably would have most likely made myself like throw up and take a wound or something like that. It has a neat mechanic too, where you have health, you have physical health damage, and you have mental health damage because it's Cthulhu, right? And you have these stack of cards, and sometimes the game will tell you, take a damage from the mental health, leave it face down. And other times it will say, take a damage from the mental health deck, and then flip it up. And when you flip it over, it has a long description of like what kind of anguish you're going through. You might be bleeding, you might be hallucinating, you might have trouble making perception checks or whatever. So it has a really unique, at least to me, because I haven't played it in so long. To be honest, the very first time I played this game, I did not like it. That's probably another reason why I hadn't gone to the table. And really, if Brock wasn't there pushing this on us to play it Friday night, I probably wouldn't have even suggested this game. I actually suggested everything but this game. So I was very glad to play it. I actually want to play it again, even though it's not, Cthulhu based, or that it is Cthulhu based. Here's kind of the setup here, and while the box only has like 4 missions to it, now the miniatures are crap. I'm gonna tell you this: Fantasy Flight took the miniatures from the first edition. They didn't update them at all. They just recast them. They're junky. They look like they're 15 years old. They actually look like they're from like 1990.
Oh.
But the game is so immersive, you kind of forget about that. So it's not really. You could play this game with little cardboard chits and walk around the room. So don't get distracted by that. It is so expensive though. It's $100 game because it comes with so many minis, and they're not that great. So just remember that. But like I said, this one has like 4 missions, and there's countless expansions out there. But the cool thing about the app is we could play that same mission those same clues will not be in the same spot. They just won't. It mixes everything up. Brock said that was the first time he owns it. He's played that mission 3 or 4 times. He said that was the first time that we were in a mansion. He said that's the first time he saw the layout of the house look like it did. So it was unique unto itself for a guy who's played it like 4 times.
Cool.
So that should show you that. And like I said, you could play this with 1 person. You can play it up to 4. Another complaint, if I had to complain, but it's not a big deal, it's just convenience. We had 4 players. It comes with 5 dice. So we were passing dice around the table all the time, which I'm a weird gamer. If there's a chance that I can get extra dice, and Dirk and CaseyJane over there can share dice, and me and Walt over here can share dice. So it's really convenient. I would buy extra dice. And after we played it once, they sell extra dice. I went and bought some. So Jennifer can have it for her game.
Yeah.
But no, if I'm talking about it, I liked it enough to like really want to play it again. Okay. It's everybody versus the game. It's hard because the very first time we played it, we got drilled. I mean, like 5 years ago when we played it, we got drilled. I mean, the game just, like I said, everything was turning into frogs and fire breathing, and Cthulhu, the Dark God, was after us and everything else. This mission that we played Friday night, we were actually successful, and the game doesn't allow you to really sit around and just look at every clue. Like you know how if you ever play with a role-playing group and they spend 3 hours in one room looking for every little trap, this game does have a timer that it gets harder and harder and harder, and more of the mythos things get like more devastating to you as you go. So you're kind of on a clock, but you don't know what your clock is. So, you can't just tinker around and do stuff. But yeah, we fought cultists and these like black looking snake looking things with wings that were coming after us. And then a deep one showed up, and we ended up solving the mystery, but it was pretty cool. Brock's character went insane. He took enough mental damage that he had to draw a card, and he couldn't tell us what it said. And so he got to keep playing, and some of those things make you work against your team and some don't. He just basically had one that said like he was dead. He was mentally he was fried. He was the only guy that technically didn't win the game because we all, we got the objective out of the mansion. We showed the world that this guy was really a cultist and he was doing evil things. Brock was the only character that actually lost the game because of his, mental state and everything. So anyways, it was a fun time. We, of course, no game, no story type game is complete without, I probably was over exaggerating the relationships of all the characters together.
Impossible.
I played a lady named Agatha Crane, and she looked kind of like my passed away grandmother, and so I was saying like that was my grandma, and I was giving her also. She was a badass, dude. Every time I rolled that dice, like I rolled lights out on everything. Like they were like, "You can't fight this creature. You only have 2 strength." I would be like, "Boom, boom," and the app would tell you like, if it was successful or not. And I just did awesome things. So like, I rolled lights out. My Nina was there in spirit, and she was kicking some Cthulhu butts. So with that said, I do want to talk about Marvel Champions, but at a later time. We'll just save that for a future show. So
all right, good stuff.
So anyways, if you like Cthulhu creepy stuff, you like mystery stuff,
and you got $100 to blow.
Well, I already own it, so if you know me, you just come over to the house. Now the question is do we play it enough where Jennifer wants to go get other missions? Because there's a lot of box sets out there. There's a lot of expansions that I think come with 4. I think they all come with like 4 missions.
It sounds just like the role-playing game that I played.
It probably is. It probably really is. It felt like a guided
game. Was like not trying to go crazy.
Right. It felt like a very guided role-playing game without a game master. And the app would tell you stuff. It would read stuff off at times. Found a journal where she could take it in. The app would read off something you found in the journal. Oh, we lost Dirk. Or maybe that's my internet, but
I think that's you.
It might be me. Well, I was the guy flipping out. Cthulhu getting me. But yeah, she found this journal, and I don't know how many entries she could have ended up reading off if we just sat there action after action after action. But it was pretty fun. We even found a urn of this rich guy's like dead wife, and you had the option, like a choose your own adventure book, like put it back on the shelf or break it. And of course, one of our guys wanted to break it for no reason. I'm like, you idiots, Cthulhu! The ashes will turn into frogs and breathe fire on us and kill us. So, anyways, it was a good time. I would play it again, despite me not really caring for Cthulhu themed games.
Okay, and the rest of your party there, they liked it.
Oh, they all loved it, but they like all of them. I think they like Cthulhu stuff even more than me.
Okay,
so.
well, I mean that's important to note then.
Yeah,
if
so
that
Cthulhu, it was
really enjoy it.
It was an overall a hit for everybody. The bad thing was we stayed up till like 2:00, but that's okay. You know, sometimes you can't beat the experience that you get in life. So,
yeah, that's true. All right, we got a couple of comments here. Brian James says, Mr. Hooper, you and Walter delivering command performances tonight.
Wow, you and Walter.
You've both never been better.
Scott and I chopped liver.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Gigi says, Scott is so charming, delighted to see his triumphant return.
So
no, CaseyJane, you're chopped liver.
CaseyJane. Gigi or Brian better come up with something to say.
No, it's okay. Listen. I'm still gonna be the cause and the speaker at Steve's funeral, so that's good enough for me.
That is a good point.
That is true.
You're gonna kill Steve and then be at the funeral speaking.
He wants me to call his funeral proceedings, and then he said that's all that I need CaseyJane to cause my funeral proceedings.
After she displayed the
my kendo
She had a
stick.
kendo stick.
Oh, okay. Steve's into some kinky stuff, huh?
How about that?
Oh,
To my wires. I have pants on. No one judge me.
you don't have pants on?
I do have pants on, but you can't tell. But I do.
Oh, I don't, so we're good.
I
Then.
respect that.
I'm Winnie the Pooh in it over here.
So we're going to On Blast next. All right, we got a full house tonight for On Blast. I'm going to go, since Scott's been talking for a while, I'm going to go to Walt first.
Hey, not much. This weekend I watched the series Them on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
Since there's a lot of black horror series and movies are starting to make the rounds, like really good stuff and not crazy stuff, like Snoop Dogg and that crazy supposed to be horror flick anthology he did years ago that he was in. Anyway, very creepy, very, very creepy. I didn't make it to the end. I think I made it to like episode 7. But it's about a black family in the 50s moving to Compton, California, which is very interesting. Other than that, I haven't seen anything else. Watched a lot of Tubi.
All right.
Is that the old cartoon show stuff?
Cartoons, TV show series. That's where I saw, a couple of weeks ago, I was telling you I saw the old 1970, was it 5 Shazam series?
Oh, that's right. You said that.
So.
Steve says my mic is low. Can you guys hear me okay?
No, you're fine.
You might be a little low, but I'm also hard of hearing. So.
Well, and I'm trying not to scream because I've got the mic is now
it might be
right
because I scream.
The mic is right here now. I mean, it used to be kind of over here.
Put it like
and so
in your mouth. Can you try that?
I mean, I can talk right here on this thing.
Oh,
but I'm trying not to. I
Deep
figured if
throat
the mic was right, I figured
not
if
like
the
he hasn't
mic
done
was
that before.
closer, that I wouldn't have to talk as loud. So I don't know. Maybe I just need to. Oh, okay.
I mean, I'd also like to add
Steve
everyone.
says that's better.
I'd also
When I
like
got
to
close.
add.
I mean, I
that-
can move it over here.
I'd
Walt's
also
trying to add something.
I also like to add that everybody here knows that I am not a big fan of horror flicks. So for me to watch them is a feat. So
Cool. All right. Them is who did them?
I'm not sure who the producers and directors are, but
That's
it's
not Jordan Peele.
no. It's a 10 episode series on Amazon Prime.
Okay. All right. His thing was called Us, right?
Us, yeah,
I've been
was
wanting
creepy,
to see that, and
which is
the-
creepy as
The
well.
new film is called Nope,
Yeah,
and I'm
Oh,
very
I
interested
saw
in that
that.
because I think it's about aliens. I've heard.
yeah.
So
I saw
anyway,
that in the previews of Batman.
That's kind of up my alley. I like the alien horror film. That sounds good.
Nope.
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 All right, CaseyJane, you're up next. On
I have
Blast.
absolutely nothing.
You haven't been doing anything. You
No,
played that game and you're out.
She played the game and that was it.
Listen, I'm on spring break. I'm sleeping.
All right.
Word.
Well, you've earned it.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I am sleeping as much as physically possible. I'm pretty sure I clocked in 13 hours the other day. Let's see. I have a sleep tracker now. I have a ring that tracks my sleep.
That's 13 hours in one. At
That's
one
about
time?
all I got Friday, Saturday,
I'm
and
sorry.
Sunday night.
Total sleep is 8 hours 55 minutes, but my time in bed, so like waking up, is 13 hours 36 minutes. Happy
Hey,
spring break.
That
Wow.
was my Sunday,
That is
CaseyJane. That was my Sunday.
that is impressive.
Yeah, I got a sleep tracker. It's really cool.
Yeah, Sunday I got up just to go get chicken wings, and then I ate a few chicken wings and went right back to bed.
Y'all gotta live. You gotta live your life. There's no time to sleep.
Oh no, I spent the day in Corsicana, Texas on Saturday, so you know.
Okay.
He's
I
got
can't
a
wait to be in
story
Texas
but I don't know if
soon.
this is the location
Oh,
for that story.
oh, and CaseyJane, I have to throw this in here too. So the person I hung out with, if you look outside their kitchen window, right across the street was a cemetery, a public cemetery. So that's where all, people who, didn't have any family, no money, and all that stuff, the city
Wow.
buries them there.
Wow.
So since that's kind of your thing, so
That's pretty cool.
It's
And it's
super
in the
I
middle.
watched a movie in a cemetery once.
that's
The
cool.
Hollywood,
And
the
that-
Hollywood Forever Cemetery has movie nights.
Nice. Scary movies?
Yes,
Okay.
That sounds fun.
it actually is pretty cool. And Scott's like, nope.
I think
Nope.
Scott's- Nope.
Also, there's no WrestleMania access this year.
Yeah.
Uh,
we decided to just save $1 million and not go to WrestleMania.
That's
So
probably a good call. I'm gonna be.
I'm
honest.
gonna watch it for $5. I'm gonna miss out that
You're
just
gonna
some of
have
the
a great
interactions.
seat.
But
hey, but WrestleCon's still here though.
yeah, if you need a great, the great seat's gonna be in my living room. There's some great seats at the arena, but God, it's so expensive now.
Yeah.
Scott, you're up next. On Blast.
I am okay.
Tell
So I'm
us what
talking about things.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna talk about. This is not my promotion. This is just things I've done. Right. All right.
Right.
I've been like in a manga kick lately. Like I don't know why. I don't know if
That's
it's
cool.
So I've been reading, and I don't know if I mentioned this last time I was on briefly. I've been reading. I've watched the Dragon Ball Super cartoon, the anime,
Yeah.
like 110 episodes, and for
I
some
know.
reason, the manga goes on adventures after where the series ends, and I'm kind of curious about that because I play the collectible card game, the Dragon Ball Super, TCG. And sometimes there's characters in there. I'm like, where's this guy from? So kind of curious from that. And I also kind of enjoy it. So I started reading the Dragon Ball Super manga. And I've read the original Dragon Ball. I have not read Z. But now I'm starting to read Super. And I'm actually kind of enjoying it. Maybe better than the show. So anyways, I've been absorbing that lately. But looking at manga stuff, I got this. I don't know if you can see this.
You
Chainsaw
post that on
Man.
the group page.
You see
today.
this? Act like if I was 8 years old and I walked into like a gas station and this was sitting there, or a Toys R Us or a
Right.
Target, and I didn't know anything about this. And if this was a toy, I'd want to have this and own it because it's like, oh my God, it's so cool. Well, I've seen this for 2 to 3 weeks now. I asked Jennifer's son if he knew what Chainsaw Man was. He said, no, I've never heard of it. And I never came across Volume 1. I've always seen Volume 8 or Volume 7. So I was wasting some time before the AEW pay-per-view on Sunday, and I was at a Barnes & Noble. By the way, the AEW, very good, but it was probably too long, but it was very good. It wasn't as predictable as WWE matches. So if you're out there, watch some AEW. Give it a try.
EMD.
I saw that since you've gone on this tangent, I saw that you got the AEW. Is this the first one of those that you've gotten?
A guy from the comic store gets them, and he just invites us over. So he won't even take money. So I just go and watch him. This is the first one Jennifer's missed.
How much are they?
I think they're $50.
Oh, God.
I think they're like old school pay-per-views there.
Oh man.
But I don't know, and I tried to give money, and he never accepts it. He's like, I'm gonna buy it either way, whether you're here or not. So,
anyway, you say it was good.
Yes, it was good. It was just we waited for somebody to show up, so I didn't get home till after midnight. So,
I see.
Friday night I got about 5 hours of sleep. Saturday night maybe 5 hours of sleep, and Sunday I got 4.5. So it's been a rough week so far.
It was a good pay-per-view though.
Huh?
It was a good pay-per-view though.
It was a good pay-per-view. Anyway, so Chainsaw Man. Let's talk about Chainsaw Man.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, man.
I saw Volume 1. I purchased it. It was 20% off at Barnes & Noble. I thought I got to just read this and see what goofiness it is. And let me tell you something. It is kind of goofy and kind of serious. And I don't know if I just think it's neat or if I kind of love it. I haven't made that decision yet. I will probably buy Volume 2 at some point and read it. It is... I don't know if this sounds racist or weird or whatever, but it's very Japanese. This is the best thing I can say is it's very Japanese. And I feel like you could give 100 people to say, all right, draw the character Chainsaw Man. Not one of them, unless they're from Japan, is going to come up with this design. It's just crazy. Anyways, it is very weird and different. It's also not what I thought it was going to be, and at the same time, it's everything I thought it was going to be. So, anyways, Chainsaw Man, give it. It's coming to. They're making a cartoon of it. I know that because I did some research, and it is coming.
Hey,
the later half of this year, maybe July, maybe.
If Dirk would share the screen that I have there, I can help you out on that.
Okay. There you go. October. So has anybody here watched or read One Punch Man?
I have. I'm a huge One Punch Man.
Okay, so One Punch Man
is awesome.
I read Volume 1 of that a couple years ago. It was entertaining. It's fun. But I think probably from one volume, I'm sure it grows, but I kind of got enough of it in one volume because it's just kind of silly. This has that silliness in it. And at the same time, there's parts of it that's kind of Demon Slayer-ish, if you've watched that.
Okay.
Kind of. It's not the same, but kind of. It's very Japanese.
It's very Japanese.
It's very Japanese.
Because it is Japanese.
I get it.
And you know what? That's all you have to say is that it's very Japanese.
Yep, it explains a lot.
And at the same time, we always talk about how so many kids are reading these things versus comics. I mean, you get 200 pages. They're black and white, but you get it for $10.
And it's all one story.
I can get 60 pages for, about $12 to $15 of Marvel Comics. So I kind of get it.
Yeah.
Yep. That's cool.
So, anyways, I know there's people out there that hate manga art style and stuff, but while you might not appreciate what you might not like that style, but man, if you look at some of their storytelling and some of the angles they take is so
mind blowing.
So mind blowing, and how they can tell a story in black and white and get you different things. I don't know.
The details and backgrounds and all that stuff too.
Yeah, you shouldn't just throw it away that it's goofy people with big eyes and triangle heads. I
mean, they have that too.
They do have that, but there's some of these guys they pull off some things that are just like Jiminy Christmas, So, anyways, Good stuff.
Jiminy Christmas. That's an Oklahoma thing.
I'm an old guy.
I thought it was Jiminy Crickets.
Oh no, that's Jiminy Cricket. Yeah, that's Jiminy Cricket. But Jiminy Christmas is an old Oklahoma saying.
I don't know. I've been told lately. I said something else the other day. I can't remember what it said, but they were like, "What does that mean?" The kids at work said, and I was like, "You never heard that? It basically means like,
I'd love to know what
it gets you going."
So
what was it?
I said jonesing. I said, does that get you jonesing?
Oh.
And they're like, what the hell does jonesing mean? And I was like, you're after it. You want it. You're thirsty, youngster. You're thirsty.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've never heard that either.
So the Jiminy Christmas thing comes from listening to Oklahoma Sooners football on the radio.
Mel Brooks, right? Or no, his last name was Brooks.
And it would be like, he's at the 10, the 20, the 30. He's crossed the 50. He's crossed midfield. 20, 10. Jiminy Christmas touchdown, Oklahoma.
It was John Brooks. He was the voice of the Oklahoma Sooners, and then the hockey team for the longest time. You're right. Yeah. That's actually where I got it.
That is it. He was the voice with Merv Johnson.
Yep.
So.
Oh, by the way, and more useless trivia. Did you know Walter Cronkite used to call the radio games for the Sooners for one season?
I didn't know.
Yep, he did. Moving on.
Interesting. Wow. That's
Yep.
deep trivia.
He did.
Steve says manga often has better writing than comics.
I don't know if I will agree with that, but I haven't read enough manga compared to comics.
It's hit or miss for me when it comes to that. Like, if you're talking about something like Akira, yes. If you're talking about something like Xenon, no.
Right. Some of it is inane.
And
just
Dragon
like
Ball
everything
Z.
else. I mean, just like everything else. But for one thing, you typically do get one cohesive story that starts with volume 1 and goes through whatever.
However many volumes.
Generations with the Dragon Ball stuff. Everything's in continuity. Pretty much in continuity with that.
Right.
And you don't get, I think maybe why I enjoy like the Dragon Ball manga so much is like you don't have 3 30-minute episodes of them powering up and grunting because they edited it for American audiences. They just get to it. I mean, a tournament that lasted 20 episodes, it lasts a volume and a half at most. So
or less.
Steve says Bob Berry Boomer. All right. My on blast today is that I recently watched Free Guy. That is the movie with Ryan Reynolds. I don't know how many people have seen that. I had an idea in my mind what that movie was, which is why I didn't see it earlier, because I kind of thought it would be really goofy and that I wouldn't buy in on the concept. I didn't feel like they were going to give me something that made sense to me, and it was just going to be goofy from the beginning to the end. And it's kind of that, but I also think that they actually gave me the explanation that I needed to get me invested in what was going on in this movie. They actually had a pretty good reason why it was happening. And so that allowed me to invest in the movie a little bit better. Ryan Reynolds, Canadian sweetheart that he is, was awesome as always. I mean, it is a testament to, I guess, him as an entity or as an actor or whatever, that it kind of feels a lot like, and I don't know if this is the case or not, I don't know whether he helps rewrite some of these things so that it sounds like him, or he just makes it all of his dialogue sound like it's coming from him. But you know what I'm saying? It seems like he kind of
natural.
has a certain sauce that he puts on his jokes, like certain things that make me think that he sits down with the screenwriter or with whoever's on the set and goes, "Hey, how about if we say it this way," or something. It's very much like that, which I think is a good thing. I think he's funny. He's also really, he's charming. It's a Ryan Reynolds film. It's also a lot more than what I expected. It's a bit of a love story. It has that aspect to it, and it's a feel good movie. How much would you like to see a feel good movie right now, folks?
It is a feel good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the bad guy is not that bad. It's played by Taika Waititi. I think that he probably did his role in about 3 days. He's not in it much. That's a busy dude that directs some pretty amazing movies. So it was pretty awesome to see him in a movie again with Ryan Reynolds. The last time was Green Lantern, that he was in a movie with him. So it's funny to see that reunion between those two characters, or those two actors.
And not to mention Lil Rel, his best friend.
Oh, right, yes.
He's a stand-up comedian on his own, so
right,
you know.
Right. What's her name? Julie Comer. Is that her name? The female lead. Jodie Comer. Jodie Comer was awesome. She was awesome in this. Watch out for her. I know that she's been around for a while, but she's very different from anything that I've seen her in previously. She nailed that sort of thing. It's a fun movie. I think that if you're looking for something that gives you an hour and a half off of how crappy everything is, that it'll make you feel good at the end of it, and it's honestly it kind of brings up some interesting thoughts about artificial intelligence and stuff, which I think was pretty cool.
It has one of the last appearances of Alex Trebek.
Oh wow!
Oh
I didn't even
yeah.
think about that. And it has a lot of if you follow video games and stuff, if you watch like the YouTube crowd that talks about video games, there's a lot of people that have actually kind of significant roles in this.
Jacksepticeye.
Yes,
yeah.
That guy is hilarious, and I was really happy to see him in particular. I was real happy to see him because I really like watching his stuff. So it's cool that they gave a nod to him on this.
The cameos
Sean was
in
so
general.
happy about it.
Really?
He was tweeting about it constantly. And then he did an interview with Ryan Reynolds. It was hilarious.
Oh, that would be great.
Uh-huh.
Because he's hilarious, which is what makes his stuff really good.
It's just the cameos in general were just great.
A lot of cameos,
and
some big people,
and they all fit.
Yeah,
how they were put in there. They all fit.
Fun movie, feel good movie. I think it benefited because I had very low expectations for it, and I think it far exceeded that.
And it's streaming just about everywhere.
Right, you can see it in a lot of different places.
It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's on HBO Max.
Yeah.
I think it's on Netflix.
Wasn't that one of those movies that was from Fox that kind of got held up?
It was from Fox, and it got held up because of the pandemic. And I think it was also the last movie Fox produced before the Disney takeover.
They held on. It's another one of those movies that they held on to and held on to and held on to.
Yeah.
But it did pretty well, and now I see why. If you got some time on and you want a feel good movie, what's that? Brian James. Oh my God.
I know. I've already seen it.
Brian James says anime is like Tom Arnold. Tom had True Lies, where he was outstanding but miserable anywhere else. Original Speed Racer is the Tom Arnold of the genre. They peaked with Speed Racer. Steve might agree on that. All right, folks, let's wrap this thing up. Let's do promo time. Walt, why don't you go first, man?
You can catch me on Well, you might be able to catch me on Facebook. I've been restricted.
What have you done now?
I was restricted. I was restricted for a post that I made way back in April of 2020 about the previous guy, suggesting people drink bleach to get rid of the Backstreet Boys virus.
Well, if you're going to be a Malakant, then you're going to
Anyway, but you can also catch me at my whatstudioart.blogspot.com. You can catch me on twitch.tv, Gatchaman_1. And you can buy stuff at my Zazzle store. Just look up What Studio Art.
Cool. CaseyJane, you're up next.
You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at Little Miss Fury.
I like the way you say Twitter.
Look at that. That was super succinct.
I'm not making fun of that. I just like the way you say Twitter.
Twitter.
Or armbar.
And
I'm not saying it. I'm surprised Steve didn't make me say it.
Amba.
Not doing it.
Admiral Amba. Sorry.
I refuse.
It's all right. You should. Make him pay for that.
That's right.
Send me product.
Also on our pay-per-view.
We just need to make a Patreon.
You will see CaseyJane. Right. We'll have another 4 hours after the show. It's an after the show show.
Some people
talking about inappropriate video games with my normal accent.
Right.
There you go.
I can talk about all the backstories of all the characters I develop when I'm playing board games that usually crack everybody else up and throw up in their mouth a little bit.
It's like Taskforce Geek at night, like
after hours.
After hours. We can cuss.
I can tell you
get all the details.
I can tell you what it's like to go to karaoke with a bunch of porn stars. So, you know.
See?
I love After Dark streams. I'll absolutely do an After Dark podcast.
Wow. All right. I guess we need to start studying.
We need to make a
Patreon. Scott, you're up, buddy.
All right. You can find me known for BothDown.com, where I do a Blood Bowl podcast. The latest episode is out. Also, I'd like to tell everybody, if you're out there and you think you want to come game, we already have well over 40 people for the Oklahoma Bowl weekend.
That's awesome.
Which is 2 Blood Bowl tournaments in 2 days, 2 different Blood Bowl tournaments, different sets of rules. In 2 days, you can go to Oklahoma Bowl, that's O-R-C, Lahoma, bowl.com to find out all the rules to that. Well, you have those Warhammer 40K people that spell orc O-R-K, and it's like, no, it's a C.
That's not what we're laughing at.
Oh.
It's the Lahoma.
Lahoma.
Oh. O-R-C-L-A-H-O-M-A bowl.com.
There you go.
So you can go over there and register for the event. We're going to start checking rosters. It is next, not this weekend, but the following weekend. So March 19th and 20th, right after the best birthday of the year, Scott Primes. So
I'm flying out.
Can I say it? I think I know the date.
Sure, go for it. I don't care.
It's 3/18.
Yeah, that's right. The best day of the year.
I think it's
March 18th.
8/16, but
It's what?
I think the best day of the year is 8/16.
That is actually the 4th best day. So you are close.
I think it's 10/22 myself.
Anyways, that's all I'm really promoting. That I got the tournament, got the podcast. You can, if you for some reason you're watching this and go like, oh, this guy plays a lot of board games. I try to really, besides the little collectible card games, I try to post every time we play a board game. I take pictures, and as Dirk and Walt and CaseyJane know on Facebook, I'll post, hey, we played this tonight, we lost. We played this tonight, we won.
Yeah,
just try to get it out there, because I found out once I didn't do that for a while, somebody would message me and go, hey, you haven't been playing any games. I'm like, actually, I have. And they're like, why aren't you posting it? So I secretly have a few people that at least – and every now and then I get somebody that goes like, hey, I bought that game you played like 6 months ago. It looked really cool. I did some research. I decided it was worth my time and money to go spend $80 on a game, and I love it. So
that's cool.
So I do hear some feedback, even though follow me on Facebook is not a big deal. So
I also want, since we're on your segment here, I want to mention that Steve Campbell talks on our Facebook group, the Taskforce Geek Facebook group, quite often.
Yeah,
shares stuff and chimes in on stuff and always has something interesting to say. So thanks to Steve, who's your partner on Both Down.
Both Down, right?
And he chimed in tonight, and I appreciate that. And so I just want to give
podcast for over 10 years now. So every month.
All right. Here's all of my stuff here, but what I'm going to do is while this is playing, I'm going to go to Steve's comment. He said he got Facebook restricted as well for a 5-year-old post. So stupid. I got restricted for some posts from 2015.
I got one, not restricted. I got a warning from something from 2017 for a meme that I shared.
That's what I shared. I mean,
If you're watching, folks, I've never been restricted or in Facebook jail, so therefore I'm more pure, and you can follow me.
I never got restricted or in Facebook jail. Just a warning.
Shouldn't
You know that the picture that's just like first time.
Yeah,
You know that one? Yeah, that's what I got flagged on.
really.
Shouldn't old stuff that was obviously has been on the platform for
No.
5 to 7 years, shouldn't that
No.
be?
they should just remove it. Just
I know
tell
that
you
the woke
that.
crowd doesn't like the term grandfathered, but shouldn't old stuff be grandfathered in? If I put it out today and it's not acceptable, okay, nick
Or
me
just
for
do like
it.
they
But
say.
something I have to go back and police. I killed an entire page because I used to share stuff that was perfectly fine, but now it's evil and terrible, and they kept going back 5-7 years to get me on this stuff. So I just killed the page. It's like, it's either that or I'm going to have to prune every single thing off of it.
It's ridiculous.
And who goes back that far anyway? Like, really, who?
No,
It's like-
people are not looking at stuff from 5 years ago. That's my point, is that
No.
it's like, if it was okay 5 years ago, it should be okay today.
Right.
Get me on new stuff. Don't
And if you don't like it,
retroactively apply stupid arbitrary rules
right.
after the fact, anyway. And Steve also says Twitter.
Twitter.
One day I'm gonna do a podcast with you guys in my actual accent. I'm not
You're
gonna
saying
hide
that
it.
you're reining it in.
I will talk my actual accent for one podcast.
Wow.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Wow.
You're not gonna understand anything.
Is that
Okay.
right? It's gonna be too much.
Can we have subtitles?
Like we need in Batman.
You know, they're starting to have theaters that have people like versions of the movies for people who have hard of hearing, so it would be subtitled or whatever. I mean,
That sounds amazing.
Sounds great.
I don't think it's such a bad idea.
I
Yeah.
watch everything with
I
subtitles.
can't take my mom to the theater because she can't understand anything. So we could go to a subtitled episode and she'd love it.
That's the way I watched them this past weekend. Turned on the subtitles.
I watch everything with subtitles. I don't know why, but I just do.
I
get it.
sometimes will turn
I do too.
if there's another language in subtitles, I will sometimes watch the English movie with the foreign subtitles. Specifically Spanish.
to learn Spanish? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
It's one way to do it. You just have to hope they're accurate.
Yeah.
Right? No kidding.
Unlike in
'Cause a
Squid
lot of
Games
the-
where it wasn't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes the Japanese or Korean translation is not so good. It's like you can't find someone who speaks the Lord's English to translate this for you.
Yeah. the Queen's the Queen's English.
You know, pay someone, whatever, $7 an hour to read this thing and do it right. All right, folks. Is there anything else that anyone wants to add before we wrap this up?
I love Robert Pattinson.
I'm going to love him. I'm going to make sure of it.
Take your lotion.
I will say that I think, not having seen the movie, I think he's going to do a good job, seeing as I saw him in Tenet. I liked his character in Tenet.
We mentioned that after the or actually before the show, we were talking about, how he was going to be, and he was great in Tenet.
He was great in Tenet.
Great. He was a convincing Batman too. He did it. It ain't easy. I think he pulled it off. I can't wait for the next Batman film.
I can't wait till the next Tenet movie, but there's not going to be a next Tenet.
Probably not another one of those because it kind of died, but that's too bad because I loved it.
I would have loved to have seen those two actors back together again.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Steve says, thanks, y'all. Good times yet again. Thank you for chiming in. Thanks to everyone for chiming in. Thanks to CaseyJane. Thanks to Scott. Thanks to Walt for being here today and everyone else for participating. Thanks to Steve Resk for being our guest. We do deeply appreciate it. that's it, folks. We're wrapping it up. Please leave a like, share wherever you see this. It is deeply appreciated. Until next time, this is Dirk Hooper saying, dream hard.
Peace
See
out.
ya.
Bye.
Peace out.